All right. Okay. Item 7, public comments, reports. Does anybody have any of the little yellow cards?
We do have one.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we'll have you speak, Mr. Costan, at 10.2. Okay. All right. Moving on to item 8.0, our correspondences. 8.1, AADUSD representative. Oh, I do not see Ms. Purcell. Oh, there she is. Do you have anything?
But I don't have anything to comment today.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for being here. And CSEA representative. Anything?
Thank you.
Would you guys check out on us already?
If they check out, we'll wait here. 8.3, student representatives. It's their last time here as student representatives, I think, so we get both.
Yeah, I don't think we have too much to report. You know, we graduated. The graduation ceremony was amazing. Thank you to the board members who were present. We missed the ones who were not, but you got to picture your daughter, so I guess that was no good excuse. Our grad night went well too. It was a lot of fun at Universal, and kids finished up the last few days of school that unfortunately we were not there for, but I'm sure everything wrapped up great. And I just want to thank you guys for allowing us to be here and welcoming us.
Yeah, it's been a great experience. I really liked being involved in this. I'm glad I signed up for this and was chosen for this. Thank you guys.
I think I can speak on behalf of the board and say we wish you the best of luck in your endeavors. Trevor is going to Cal Poly Pomona, and what are you going to major in?
Chemical engineering.
And Mallory is going to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and what will you be majoring in?
Business administration.
There you go. So, excellent job. And actually, last year, student rep, Sam, weren't you last year, Sam?
I wasn't.
You weren't?
I applied, but I ended up.
Oh, shoot. Last year's valedictorian, do I have that right? Oh. Next item.
That was a nice attempt to recognize gone bad. Other than he was valedictorian last year and is back from University of San Diego. Okay.
Now, Trevor, have you found housing in Pomona?
I've applied for housing, but they haven't gotten back to me yet.
You'll get
Because I have to live on there for the first
You
year.
get a trailer or something?
You'll get it. You have to get it.
Live out of your van.
All right.
We do have plaques of recognition too.
Is it that?
Nice.
So this recognizes your dedication
Wow.
as student
That's the
representative
first year to get
to the
plaques.
Board of Trustees. And maybe a picture before you leave.
Yeah.
We'll
Ready
memorialize
for
it.
the picture now? It's going to be a long night.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Quick break. It's going to be very long. Very.
Thank you, Mallory. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you. It's been great having you.
This is item 10.2 also.
You guys can go.
You can take these.
Yeah, they're yours.
Can I swipe mine out of another stuff?
Yeah.
Because I was going to.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
See you guys along the road.
Yep.
You're welcome to stay if you want. We're not
Oh,
kicking
no.
you out. We don't,
Yeah,
we're only going to be
graduate.
here for 4 hours.
I need some sleep tonight.
If you don't have better things to do, that's sad. Come on.
Thank you guys.
Bye, Mallory. Take care, Trevor.
Okay, we've got a pretty full agenda, so I'm going to try to keep us moving forward.
Oh, that's nice. That's what it's all about.
Have a great night, guys.
You got it. Thank you.
Okay, item 8.4, our annual charter review. Ms. Lytle.
I would like to invite Amanda up. This is our annual charter review. For all of us. Working partnership.
So I'm going to give a brief presentation of my fairly long report. But part of my oversight duties is to get out and to visit all of our resource centers. And I get the opportunity to talk to students and to get to know them a little bit, see what work they're doing, talk to teachers, ask questions. And then the second part is sitting down with the administrators administration or the different departments at the charters and asking them questions like what areas, including educational program, ongoing assessment, student services, governance, personnel. So in this report, I have included for each of our 15 charters a basic school profile, their assessment data if they had any. So if they're brand new this year, they don't have any assessment data from CAS. Their enrollment data, and then what I've compiled as their areas of strength, and then their goals for focused improvement. So just briefly, I kind of group them how they serve kids. So our first group is our seat-based charters. So this is Albert Einstein Academy, STEAM, and Odyssey. And looking at them, the trend of kind of their areas of strength, all of them were strong in their ELA CAS results. They have one-to-one technology, their STEAM and project-based learning, and foreign languages offered for all students. And the areas of goals for focused improvement, debt management, implementation of the NWEA map to monitor growth. It's an assessment system and monitor students. And continuing in the special ed education area to making sure we're providing appropriate supports. Our next group of charters is our exclusively virtual charters. And so areas of strength we saw across there is all of them, no matter what curriculum they were using, was aligned to the California state standards. They were all using some form of diagnostic assessment. Some were using iReady, some were using Renaissance, but they had that built into their program. Their support staff, the availability of their support staff, they were always there. They had access to teachers, access to resources, whatever they needed, and the personalized learning. It really, depending on if they needed it all online or they needed to come in for help, those were all areas of strength. The areas of focus improvement is in these schools, I saw math as a weakness across the board, and also monitoring that data to drive the instruction and improve it. Our next group of charters is charters with WIOA part. Sorry, I didn't switch, did it? Switched here, but not there. Would you like me to take over? No. Hold on. I'm going to end it.
I will kick you off.
I'm going to go to slideshow. Interview. Are you on, Kim? Is that you? That's me. Okay. Kicked me off. So I'll speak to it as it's pulling up. So we have, it's number 4, I think. Charters with WIOA partnerships. We have 3 of them, and the areas of strength that I saw across all of them was personalized learning that re-engages dropout students, positive relationships between staff and students, and that's really what gets those kids coming back, is they all have really strong staff that reconnected with those kids. They've developed strong community partnerships for job shadowing, field trips, internships, and they had strong support services in the area of special ed, EL, just the foundational skills for math and language arts. Goals for focused improvement is continuing to use that data-driven instruction to improve the students' academic performance, increasing their graduation rate, outreach to community partners to support learners in job training, and then just the continued development of their CTE courses. And our last group of charters is our charters with resource centers. And the areas of strength were independent study, really individualized learning plans for those kids, project-based learning, regular communication with the staff from the parents and the students, and staff participation in professional development. These schools all had that strength. Areas of focused improvement is obviously compliance with the Shasta ruling regarding resource centers outside the district boundaries. So we look at Empower Generations. The resource center is in Lancaster. Antelope Valley Union High School District is aware that they are there, and they know, and we have that in writing, that they're okay with them being there. Eileen Hybrid has submitted a waiver so that they have time to comply with this ruling. Inspire Charter currently has a resource center in Palmdale, and they are working with a real estate agent just to identify if there is a space that they can locate in Acton. They have closed down all their other resource centers. And Method K8 and Method 912 they both have submitted waivers for that additional time in order to become compliant. Their second area of goals for focused improvement are continue to analyze data to inform instruction, improve student learning, increase number of students participating in CAS testing, and improve student results on CAS tests in both ELA and math. But this was just kind of a summary.
Can I
Yes,
ask a question?
of course.
I read the detailed report, and of course, the summary is right in line with the report. My question is, for the areas of improvement, do we actually ask for a plan?
So their LCAT plan is something that I look at. So as of July 1, all of these charters out here have to provide to me their new LCAT plan. And in there, there's 8 areas. And I will tell you that these are always in their 8 areas of how they're going to improve them. And most of the time, these are self-identified. As well as I'm identifying them, they're also self-identifying these areas of improvement.
I mean, I understand some of the student populations have real challenges. We're lucky they're at school with some of these populations, so don't get me wrong. And some of them are ASAM schools, so I get all that. Notwithstanding that, you know, it'd be kind of nice if there was some plan to try to at least incrementally move the needle for some of these areas needing
And so I
improvement.
looked at that, and on the reports under some of these, you may have seen, like, I did compare them to last year's ELA to tell you if there was growth or if there was a decline. So I am looking at that as well.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you. Ms. Lytle, item 8.5, is there anything for new construction report?
I have one tradition I'd like to share with you, if you'll bear with me for a moment.
Oh, sure.
Since 1938, this has happened. Oh, you can't hear it. Ding, it's going ding, ding, and there's our kids. So the bell has rang, and we are out for the summer.
Once a year, it rings?
Once a year, we ring it.
Surprise is
Yep.
rings.
And so there's the kids in action ringing the bell, and that's a newly redone bell tower, so it's all newly painted. And that's our same bell. Thank you.
Anything for new construction?
No, just that. Newly painted.
All right, superintendent report 8.6, anything?
I just want to alert you that you have an invitation for Shirley Cutler's retirement party in your packet in case you wanted to join.
Thank you. All right. Board member comments. We'll start with Mr. Falsgraf. Do you have anything for this week?
Yes, I very much enjoyed each of the 3 commencement ceremonies I went to. The high school was awesome, everything about it. It was very exciting for me, being the first one I'd attended since I made it through school a long time ago. To see each one of those kids that came forward and shook my hand, you could see the promise in their eyes, and you could see that they represent the future reputation of our community here, so that was very exciting for me. I liked the middle school advancement. There was a parent that bought medals for all the kids of the Van Horn family. I thought that was great. But there was a lot of support in the background from people that we don't know who their names are or what they do, but they're just there all the time. They're the booster clubs and the parents and everybody that makes things happen and all those little things we never think of. The kids at the Meadowlark, there were a couple. I can't remember being an eloquent speaker at that age, and I was very proud of them and the way they were inclusive of their classmates and everything. So that was very rewarding for me. On the last day of the year, I went out with Ms. Lytle, toured the classrooms. Thank you for stopping by the classrooms, each classroom, thanking the kids. And also I thought it was very good that you said hi to the teachers and thanked them for service. As the school year ends, you have the mark of swearing me in. There are a lot of people that swear at me, but you're the only one that's ever sworn me in. I thank you for being responsive and stepping up to the plate. And you know, you have a car that's smart enough to find its parking spot in the district office. I very much appreciate that. And thank you for being responsive as I got settled in on the board, including the 20 requests I made from you today. So I just wanted to say thank you for doing a good job and have a good summer. Thanks.
It's been an honor.
I'm going to, actually, we're going to mix things up. We're going to go in from the outside. So, Mr. Layton, you got anything?
Nothing this evening.
Okay. Mr. Costasso?
Yeah, I had a question involving a concern. And I know that ILEAD is on the agenda tonight, but I want to discuss this outside that agenda item because it doesn't really have anything to do with ILEAD directly in terms of the petition. But in reading the text and emails back and forth, there was a request for a legal opinion in regard to their material revision. Now, typically, we will ask legal counsel to review it and to give us feedback. But in this particular case, we were asking for a written opinion, and I'm wondering why that was the case. That's typically outside of our protocol. And then there was also legal opinions being requested in regard to the application form for the Jumpstart program through Community Collaborative. And I'm not understanding why we're making all these legal requests.
When a trustee asks me for feedback from legal, I go to legal counsel and find that answer. And so I was requested by a trustee to make sure that legal counsel had looked at the ILEAD petition that came before you and make sure that we were vested in what we were saying. Equally, there were concerns about the enrollment packets that were being used for our summer school program with another petitioner. And so we had legal counsel analyze that.
Okay, well, who was the trustee?
That would be me.
Okay, the issue that I have is that one trustee should not drive ongoing incurring legal costs because they have a concern about an item. If we're going to make a request for legal services, this really needs to be addressed amongst the entire board, and the board should be making a determination as to whether we feel that we need to incur costs for legal opinion. Typically, we run it by legal. Legal gives us an opinion. We never see anything in writing. We ask staff, has it been run by legal? Staff says, yes, it has. We trust that staff did their due diligence. We typically don't incur the cost of having it written and documented and sent to us. And there's a precedence issue with doing that, but there's also costs associated with doing that. So I'm concerned about whether it's Mr. Fallsdraft or anybody making a request for a legal opinion as a sole member of the board. And the issue with Community Collaborative and Jumpstart, the way I understand it, this was simply over their application form.
Correct.
And if we had an issue with their application form, I'm not sure why we wouldn't call Community Collaborative and have a discussion with Community Collaborative about a concern, rather than jumping to legal and incurring legal fees to address a form.
We did communicate with Community Collaborative via email and text and voice. I talked to Megan more than once myself, as did Amanda.
But why the need for legal review?
To make sure that it was a viable enrollment packet and that they weren't going to be exposed for any writing that was on it.
Sure, but
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I share the same concerns. The ultimate outcome was, first of all, so people know, her legal's opinion was nothing wrong with the enrollment packet. Notwithstanding that, the charter changed it to make us more comfortable, and I applaud him for doing that. Having said all that, it would seem that the appropriate course of action, in many ways, is, I certainly can understand an individual board member asking you to look into something with legal making a determination and feeding that back. I don't think it was appropriate for a particular board member, in this case, to demand the change before legal had even finished reviewing it, or call LACO before legal even finished reviewing it. It's not good governance. We
I'm
want to
over
try
here.
to bring
She's
that.
was being responsive
and
to
all
me, so
I
I'm
understand,
here.
but it's also
We can discuss the
the
details of this if
superintendent's
you'd like.
job to advise you or any of us. And then if any of us don't like the answer, we bring it up here and we achieve a consensus on whether or not we want to take further action. So it's just in the matter of all of us staying within our boxes as individual board members, not addressing or question asking is fine, but trying to drive decision making outside of board meetings is not good. Trying to drive processes, calling LACO before we even get our own legal opinion just seems poor form. So I just ask if we could tighten up our processes a little. That's all.
Okay, so
Now, and that's all in the context of this. What was it? A packet. It's not the enrollment application. It's
It
an
was a
application.
pre-enrollment
Thank you.
application.
Pre-enrollment application.
Yes.
Fine. That's all in the context of that. Separately, and this is probably certainly what alarmed me, is in the same period. We're talking about the same 2 weeks. We also were changing process and driving cost that Mark was alluding to earlier. And if we're going to change process, certainly okay for any of us to suggest a process change, but we should debate that first and make a decision as a board to change process. The process has been in place for 2 years. So I share the same concerns, that's all I'm trying to say. And I think that we can tighten things up going forward. Did you have anything else on that?
Well, I think Ms. Ballgraff wants to respond, and then I'll finish
The
my
moral of
comment.
the story is on a pre-enrollment package, you do not ask questions about, I certify that my child has never had special education services. That is grossly inappropriate. Next is, what is the language survey? The verbiage was this. If there's an enrollment package for a charter school, the ACLU wrote a large document about this that was called Unequal Access, and I have a copy of it here. And it points out these practices very clearly.
I've read it too.
Okay?
But that's
And
not
so-
the issue.
No, it can.
Are you saying the reason you don't ask if your child has had special?
Wait, the issue is, it's okay to ask a legal opinion. That's what we have lawyers for, and that should go through the superintendent. You made your own determination that was inappropriate, and before legal even made their findings on it, you took other actions, and that's where I'm drawing the line. So I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong. I am not qualified to do that. That's why we employ lawyers. I don't believe you are either. That's why
Well,
we
so at
employ
the end of
lawyers.
the day, Mike, you were included on the email
I
that
was.
wanted this. Yes, you were.
I was, and I
Okay.
appreciate that.
So maybe next time you could respond and say, here's what I intend to do. And anyway, at the end of the day, it was a verbiage change. It's explained that no person is being sent away.
Agreed.
It's perfectly clear.
At the
and
end,
every-
it's very
everyone's
important
fine.
to the public,
Good.
but at the end of the day, no material changes of anything. The issue is just how we work together and the costs that we can incur on behalf of the district with individual requests that aren't vetted by the rest of the board, and by changing direction or giving direction that's
So
different to
best
standing
practice would be in the
practices.
future then, that any board member that is going to call legal on their own would consult with the other board members. Is that correct?
I think best practice would be to ask the superintendent to go contact legal and give you a synopsis. of the
So
plan.
that would be it. None of us would be calling legal on our own. We would all go through the superintendent.
Except
That is not,
Okay.
you're trying to put us in a corner on that, and.
Well, it's kind of the same corner I'm in right now.
No, it's not.
No, we
it's
didn't
not.
act for formal paperwork. When
No,
we
it's
call
not.
ask a question, it's a question.
When-
We don't assign a work product job.
There's a misnomer that our legal counsel that we retain on an ongoing annualized basis is the school district's legal counsel, and that is false. Our legal counsel that we retain on an ongoing annualized basis is the school board's attorney. He works for the school board. He doesn't work for Kim. He doesn't work for the district at large, okay? Does the superintendent, whoever that might be, contact counsel? Sure. Doing it on our behalf in order to facilitate district business. If a school board member decides that they want to talk to legal counsel, depending on what the issue is, they have, under some circumstances, the ability to do that. But when you look at a form, you made a judgment that something was illegal, and legal counsel disagreed with you.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did. They did disagree with you. And they indicated that the form was appropriate. And for my personal opinion, I'm not going to try and give a legal opinion like you. My personal opinion is that having an indicator on the form about 504s and any kind of special education status can be a good thing to make sure that the applying parent and their child
Gets the service.
gets the service they need. If you take it off the form,
No, you
Let me
do
finish.
that after you enroll. I don't need a lesson from you, Mark. We're good.
look, no.
No, I don't need a
But
lesson.
apparently you do.
No, I don't.
Okay, the
These
issue
people
here,
can give us a
Mr.
lesson.
Falsgraf, the issue here, we can debate all day about whether it was right or whether it was wrong in terms of what Community Collaborative had on the form. The issue here is that a single board member should not be giving directives to the superintendent, and then the superintendent following a single board member's directive and go out and seek legal counsel's opinion on what was only the concern of a single board member. If there was going to be an issue there, it needed to be brought forward. And in this particular case, it could have been brought forward in closed session, or it could have been brought forward in open session.
You left my house?
And a discussion had about whether we wanted to pursue a legal opinion. I'm simply suggesting that within the last few weeks, a single board member has driven 2 legal reviews at district expense, and that is not appropriate. And there has been a lot going on in the last 2 or 3 months, and it is important that this school board get its act together, get its form together, and start exercising some discipline in its governance methodology. Or we're going to end up all over the map. And we cannot allow that to occur. There has to be more involvement on the part of the board, and if these issues are a concern, you should bring them forward to the entire board so that we can address the issue openly and publicly, and if we're going to spend taxpayer dollars, we make a decision openly by at least 3 board members to do so.
Ken, I just want to clarify, it sounds like the way, your issue was with a certain question regarding special ed, right?
Yes,
Now, the way the question was asked, can you promise us that you've never, that your child doesn't need it? I mean, the way it comes across.
There's 2 issues here. There's 2 issues here. First off, when you enroll in a school, you come in the door here and you enroll in the school, and anybody that's an educator will know that. You don't have screening processes that say, I certify that I've never had special education.
That's your interpretation.
No, it's not. Micah,
Again,
I will get you Langford's
all I
interpretation
will
tomorrow.
say
Okay, that's
Ken,
good.
is that's why we have attorneys, so I don't have to take.
Okay, so
your
anyway,
word
will I
for it.
finish now?
Yeah, but
So-
the way the question was being asked, it doesn't.
It's a
I think
screening
we're off.
question. It's a screening
Are
question.
you saying that they might not allow certain kids in?
No, it's not the point. I'm not going to accuse any charter of saying that. It's inappropriate on a pre-enrollment screening form to ask these questions. Once they enroll, you would reveal that information, and the school moves forward and gets you the services you need. You have to provide your 504, you have to provide your IEP, and then they determine services. But in no circumstance is it appropriate on a pre-enrollment form to ask people to certify that their child has never had special education.
Well,
Okay, I'm done.
Ms. Lytle,
I'm done.
if I may, Ms. Lytle, did legal counsel say that the form was illegal?
Legal counsel said that the term pre-enrollment on the form could expose them to any kind of litigation, especially if they deny someone access to the
And there was no evidence that they ever denied anyone access, but that term was changed, the issue was over. Thank you.
And so the charter removed the pre-enrollment word and we moved forward.
And there we go, and it's perfect, thank you.
Okay.
Never again. on any charter. It has nothing to do with community collaborative.
Again, the idea though still is if there's a concern and you bring it to the superintendent doesn't give you the answer you want, or you want some specific action, then bring it to the board and by consensus or a vote.
Mike, not to belabor this, you were involved in the email. I don't know what your work schedule is, and I'm not going to belabor that, but the bottom line is, the term went away, everything is wonderful, the forms are back out, and our enrollment is coming up.
That's not the bottom line. The bottom line isn't the outcome. The bottom line is how we comport ourselves in our process of governance.
The bottom line on me is that English learners and special ed kids are not filtered, or there's any indication that they might be, and that's it, and that's not happening. And I'm happy.
I'm going to move on.
Okay.
Thank you.
It was my item.
Yeah.
So I'm going to close it out by saying that it doesn't make any difference what the issue is. Apparently, Mr. Falsgraf feels that, based on his comments, that the end justifies the means. That somehow it got fixed, even though he did it wrong, so everything is good. And I'm saying that is not the case. And that can never be the case. And so, really, in order to maybe solidify this, Mr. Fox, is we need to direct our interim superintendent and the incoming interim superintendent that they are not to seek legal opinion or take any action of any substantive way, unless there's a full agreement of at least 3 board members to do so. That, to me, that is the only
Mark,
way
that opens all kinds of recent things
to address this issue.
I think.
I don't think we should go that far.
I agree.
Should we agendize this
Because,
later?
I mean, we're really
Let's-
opening a Pandora's
guys,
box up there.
We've addressed kind of our concerns. I'd like to let it play out and see if perhaps we don't rein ourselves in a little bit. And then we'll take action if that recedes.
Look, you folks can do whatever you want. I've been here for 12 years. We've never done it this way.
I just said, let's see if we rein ourselves in.
Okay, and I don't know how we're reining ourselves in. We should never be doing this, and there's no circumstances in which I can see. I disagree with both of you gentlemen.
No, I'm
that
just
this is the case. Now, you guys can go do
all I'm
whatever you
saying
want.
is that Ken's not the
Ed,
only
I have the
person.
floor, please. You guys can go do whatever you want. I see nothing wrong with giving that directive to the superintendent. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. I'm telling you it's a mistake, and I have no confidence as we end this discussion tonight that it's going to stop. Because advocacy only has its certain limits, and then it has to stop, and you must follow process. And if we're not going to follow process, why meet? Why meet with the public? Why don't we just take votes and violate the Brown Act and just have kings for a day?
Can we give her that direction?
There is no reason why we can't give her direction.
By consensus?
Mark, I'm not disagreeing with your direction, your suggested direction. All I'm saying is that what you're describing that Ken just did there has been happening left and right in the last few months.
That's why I'm suggesting we
problem.
stop it.
Yeah.
By just not me.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying
I
to say.
hereby certify that my student has never received special
That's
educational
what
services.
Mark, I'm saying we should all
Okay.
stop doing
I
that.
further
So I'm
certify
gonna
that my
see
student
if there's
does not have a
consensus. I'm
504
gonna see if
plan.
there's
Are you
consensus,
kidding me?
folks.
I haven't done that.
If I may suggest,
Yes.
I
He
would
hasn't been
suggest a special
incredible.
study session sooner rather than later, especially if there's new interim coming in, and have communication norms
I think that's
between
an
all of
excellent
us.
idea,
or
Which is
all of you
actually
and
part
the
of our
new
contract with,
superintendent. It is part of the
with Mr.
contract.
Rasmussen.
I think board governance and communication norms could be
Without
set
direction,
with all of us.
we're running the risk of this happening because Mr. Falgraff, I don't think, gets it, but so be it. If you want to run it into the ground that way, feel free. But you're running it into the ground by not taking affirmative action tonight. I rest my case, I'm done.
I'll support you 2 weeks if something doesn't change.
I'd like to be heard now. with
It is
everybody
your
else.
turn.
Yeah, I think so. On this issue, first of all, Mr. Falsgraf is a new board member.
That's my excuse, thank you.
I'm not going to address the issues of the validity of the application. That's not what I want to do. I want to address the issue, number one, who does the lawyer represent? Mark is correct, doesn't represent the district, doesn't represent any one of us, represents the board. Number two, in order to get legal counseling and get legal advice and run up an attorney bill, we do need to have a vote, and all of us, a majority of us, agree to do that. I don't think Ken knew that. he wouldn't go over everybody's head just because of that. He had a good reason that he thought. He now knows that we can't, any one of us, call the lawyer, but that doesn't mean we have to go and direct the superintendent, assistant superintendent to do anything. We just all know now that we don't call the lawyer, and that we can drop it and move on. None of us can go out and buy company cars for everybody here on the board either, unless we all voted.
I never called the lawyer or talked to the lawyer. I sent an email to the interim superintendent and Mike and made a request for this to be taken care of. I have never talked to the special ed attorney, the charter school attorney personally on the phone ever.
Okay, then that tells me, Ken, that Kim should have known when she got a request to run up a legal bill that she got it from the full board, because every one of us have a right to know, whether it's a memo that comes down or that involves legal things or anything else. We're a board of 5. And I agree with the outcome. I agree with you being upset about the application and thinking you were doing a good thing and it's turned into a hornet's nest.
But I like being stung for this kind of stuff. It's fine. I'm good.
Okay.
The form is perfect. There is no liability for the district, and if we were to ever see that again, it would just be simple, no, we can't do this, and everything's fine. Trust me.
As far
The
as
forms are
legal
out there. Fill them
counsel,
out.
I have contacted legal counsel for one board member other than Ken in the past, and I have also seen that other board members have directly contacted our legal counsel via phone and via email. So this isn't something that's abnormal for this very first time.
Asking of specific write-ups, work products that cost more, specific assessments and write-ups, and the direction of you to get them. And that's in those emails. That's the line for me.
And if that
Question,
happens again, I will
Q&A
make
is
sure all 5 of
okay.
you are aware of that.
Specific direction to get work products from attorneys by one particular member is not good form. Asking a question, is the attorney okay with this? Go ahead, ask the attorney if it's okay. When you ask, I want a written finding, which is what happened twice here, those things cost more, and they're at the direction, I saw the email, of one member. And I worked too. I didn't have time to get to the middle of it because it happened so fast. Just like the call to Laco before the attorney even had a chance to give his result that he was demanded. Okay? And then we have to back.
Well, next time I'll just have my wife call on behalf of my daughter. That's fine, thank you. Can we move on?
Let's move on.
So I got one more lawyer thing to discuss, and it's got a great outcome.
We can move on, but based on these statements, this board is at risk. I'm telling you you're at risk, and you're not willing to take on the responsibility of addressing it. So be it, because I don't see anything being resolved here at this moment. I see nothing but continued upheaval and disjointed direction. I don't think we've accomplished a thing tonight.
It's not on the agenda, Mark. We're here in board comments.
We don't have to be, it doesn't have to be on the agenda. You've been on the board long enough that you know that we can give directive without having to have something on the
So
agenda.
I heard you loud and clear. I did. I think
Move on. I'm just making myself clear
He gave the directive.
that we are making a mistake here by not taking a leadership role, and there's no indication that this is gonna
But
stop.
Mark, he said exactly that. He gave the directive that we can call and stuff like that, but no board member should initiate an
Ed?
investigation. He said that.
Ed, my position is my position.
we're going to see how this goes for
Yeah,
a
but
few weeks.
did I-
I think we've all had a
Did
very
I hear you correctly saying
constructive-
that? I heard you say that.
You've had a very hopefully healthy exchange of how maybe we should limit ourselves. Let's see what happens in the next couple of weeks, and if it's necessary.
Oh, yeah, so let's incur more legal costs before we
Okay.
decide that we're gonna do something.
All right, Mark, we've heard.
Was Larry done with this?
Larry, are you done?
Yes, I would.
All right. Ed, you haven't gone yet on any topic.
Well, in the interest of time, I'll skip my board member comments today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. I'll keep mine brief, only to say have a good summer, everybody. All the staff, teachers, great year. And this was abnormal, and yet there's so many people here. And so I hope you understand that it's just a new composition, and we're going through some growing pains. Let's see. Let's move on to the consent agenda, item 9.0. It's recommended the following consent agenda be approved as shown on items 9.1 to 9.7. Anybody want to move it? I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Ed Porter. Call the question? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, that's a 5-0-0. 10.1, Resolution 16-17.18, iLead Online Charter School. It's recommended the board approve Resolution 16-17.18, iLead Online Charter School. Do I have a move?
So moved.
Ed Porter, Larry Layton seconded. Ms. Lytle?
And I want to thank them for being here. As you know, they held the hearing last meeting and introduced their petition to us. And upon review of their recent petition, and as you all just discussed, legal counsel is in agreement, we recommend the approval of iLead Online Charter as presented at the last meeting.
Any more discussion?
I have one. Ladies, you wore yourself out going to LAUSD. Everybody went with you. Your school is open. It has kids. Your scores look good. People choose to go there every day.
Oh, you can't.
I don't know what they did, but you wore yourself out. So I am concerned about Shasta and Anderson and Grossmont and all that. And so I asked legal, it's best practice where I work. Finance looks at it, legal looks at it. Legal says that you are perfect, so you will have my vote tonight.
Perfect.
That's right.
Thank you.
And I will continue to ask for this legal opinion on everyone that comes in front of me. It's pretty simple.
But
There's
I will
no
not ask
danger to the
lawyer,
district here, that's
all
it.
five of you tell me.
That's right.
Hello?
We'll have to
Perfect.
decide whether or not we're going to have written legal opinions versus legal.
Well, I'll still ask for it, that's fine. Good
But
luck,
I will not
guys.
go forward until
All right,
all of you
so
tell me to.
we're going to wait for the vote until our person rejoins us. It'll only be short.
Well, just,
Okay.
if the vote is upside down.
Okay, ready? We should have brought cupcakes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. You know the process better than I. We're fairly certain of the outcome even without it. So let's give it a shot. Call the question? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, that's a 4-0-1 absent.
And we look forward to continuing our partnership with you.
Thank you. Us too. We look forward to it as well.
All right. 10.2, public hearing. Albert Einstein Academy of Letters, Arts, and Sciences, Aqua Dulce Partnership Material Revision. It's recommended the board enter into a public hearing regarding Albert Einstein Academy of Letters, Arts, and Sciences, Aqua Dulce Partnership. I'm going to open the hearing at 8:18.
And this is a time for AEA, and I believe Maggie's here, there she is. Maggie Ford to present changes to the petition. This is concerning our partnership school here in Agua Dulce, not that particular petition. Please hold while we work on technology.
Thank you.
So do we, would you like us to wait, or should we just?
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Maggie Ford. I think I've met most of you. I'm the current CEO at Albert Einstein Academy for Letters, Arts, and Sciences. And this is Dr. McDonald. He is a key member of my leadership team, and he speaks much more eloquently than I do, so I just let him can do a lot of the talking, but the one thing I just want to say is I want to thank you for the opportunity to talk to all of you today. I'm very grateful to see our parents here, so I appreciate that. I've asked them to trust me for the past 10 months that we are working on a solution to a lot of the things that they have come to me about things that they want to change at the school here. And this was really born out of that. So I'm gonna hand it away. Dr. McConnell.
Thank you, Maggie. Very nice to be here. Distinguished members of the board, superintendent. My name is Mike McDonald. I've been with the Albert Einstein Academy for about the past 7 years. We are looking right now at a material revision of the charter for the Acton Aqua Dulce Partnership School. Just to break it down into very simple terms, I know that we've provided an information packet for all of you. What we're looking at is the current charter is a K-6 classroom-based instruction model with an independent study program for grades K through 12. The requested revision is to add grades 7 and 8 to a traditional classroom-based instruction program and to change the independent study program percentage that exists from 19 to 79%. And what that would look like is we provide some continuation for the current K through 6 program, giving them a 7th and 8th grade. Those students would attend daily, and it would also afford us an opportunity to provide blended or learning independent study program to our 9th through 12th grade students. We occur on the same campus, and we have some graphics, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. Students attending the blended learning program would attend anywhere between 1 and 5 days per week. I believe the requirement for independent study programs is there's much greater time in between, but we feel that we want to be touching bases at least once a week and often more. The current demographic at the Aqua Dulce campus is as follows: 54% white, 31% Hispanic Latino, 4% Black African American, 1% other. 2 or more races accounts for about 10% of the current population. As of right now, the current enrollment for Aqua Dulce School, the elementary K through 6, is relatively stable, despite the disparity in those 2 bars. One says 140, the other says 138.118. So there's not much change in enrollment. There's no growth from this year to next at that particular school. So I'm going to turn this over for a moment to Maggie to talk a little bit more about the blended learning program, and then I'll be back and go over a couple of points.
So a lot of people have asked a lot of questions about what exactly is blended learning, how does this look for our students? And blended learning is a combination, it's simply just a combination of technology and face-to-face interaction. For 9 to 12, we're talking about students being required to come to the school 1 day a week, and that's just to check in, make sure that they are getting the appropriate support that they need, and that they are on track. They can and will be available for them 5 days of the week with a modified schedule on Fridays, so that they can still, a lot of the, in my history, a lot of the things that students say that they miss out on in a blended learning environment are things like ASB, class meetings, being able to do some group work, and so Fridays will be set aside for that. The way that we propose is that there's a online instruction, teacher-led instruction, and then collaborative activities. This is just a graphic of what I just talked about, with a highly qualified teacher and then a paraprofessional, making sure that, and I'm pointing to a screen that you don't have to see, floating between the online instruction and the collaborative student activities. But the nuts and bolts of it are for us, as we talked to Steve, and we've talked to Amanda, and we've talked to Kim, and I've talked to a lot of you, financially, I think that was one of the things that we talked about we need to improve upon, is that enrollment has stayed stable, but that also means that our net income is stable, and it would be great if it was positive, but it's not. So just a quick look at the financials. For 16-17, we did have
Wait a second, please, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I had questions before you go to that level in regard to how the, that's an elementary school campus.
Yeah.
It's
So
So you're
Mike,
talking about high school students over there 1 day a week?
yeah, Mike
Up to
will,
5.
yeah, Mike will,
Up to
Mike's
5
gonna,
days?
Mike will talk about kind of how the nuts and bolts of it work, so I can, we'll hand off if you like and
Well,
go later.
If you're gonna get there naturally,
We
do
are.
you mind letting?
Not at all.
Yeah, we are, so there's things I'm good
Okay,
at
thank you.
talking
Go ahead,
about.
I just thought you were
Yeah.
moving on.
Yeah, no, we just, we try to make the flow so we're not bumping into each other.
Very good, thank you.
So 16-17, our net income was positive 33,596. We actually, that was budgeted. We came a little bit below that, and as Steve has pointed out, the reserve is lower than required. So one thing to notice is in 17-18, we cannot submit another budget that has below the legal reserve. And so we were able to get the net income up by $112,000, but the thing that I think is the most important to look at is by cutting expense. So you don't cut your way to prosperity. So we have had to cut personnel expense, operation expense to get to that number. That's not a way to serve students properly. So when we ran the numbers for independent study, we are able to get up to a 21% reserve, and that's with a very small increase or number of students, about 150 ADA. But the thing I want you to notice is that we've doubled personnel expense. We're able to now invest back into the K-8 program. The operational expense means that we can start to do a lot of the things you've asked me to do with the facilities, with the curriculum, and all of those things that you've asked us to do. So there's only two ways to get to that, positive net income and positive reserve, and one is to cut, or one is to grow. So as we look at the financial stabilization plan, and we listen to our constituents who said, we will drive down the hill to your high school, but we would prefer to be able to stay here for 6th, 7th, and 8th and beyond if possible. And we want to make sure that you are giving us more staff and giving us more resources, all that with $33,000 net income. We had to look at the puzzle a different way. So that is kind of where this was born. So the ADA change is only about 150 students, only for that school. It's huge. But it's double, and independent studies, staffing and things are a little bit different. We're able to reinvest back into this community and into into this site. When your constituent said, this district is the one that is authorizing you, why are you not making this the cornerstone for your innovation, for your growth? And I said, I wonder why we're not. So that's when we went down this path to make sure that, this is not the forgotten school. Sorry.
No, I have a question right on these topics as opposed to a future one. So
Sure.
the current ADA is 140?
Yeah,
138, something like this?
138.
And the ADA that you expect
So
after this change?
288 point, right here. 288.18.
Is that inclusive of the blended learners?
Yes.
Are they prorated in any way? Or that's like number of belly buttons, whether they show
No.
up once a week or 5 days a week?
So they have to work 5 days a week.
Oh, I understand.
Yes.
But there's no it's 400 kids enrolled.
No, we
I'm
accounted
sorry,
for
290 kids.
we accounted for ADA. So what my past experience in blended learning and the population that we've already surveyed, and the current ADA at the school, we did count for ADA.
Sure. So your math is based on an ADA of 290.
288.
288. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Very
How many belly buttons of kids do you expect to show up at that elementary school campus?
Right here. So,
So you
20
add all that up, is that
Yeah.
288?
it's 96% of
Okay.
288.
So it's about 300 belly buttons.
About, yeah.
That's what I was trying to figure
Yeah.
out. Thank you. Keep going.
Am I doing this one?
I'll go ahead.
So he's gonna answer all your.
Yeah, this comes back to your question, sir, about the campus, the current campus. There's an overview, and I don't know if you're familiar with the campus to know from above what we're looking at exactly, but the lower left-hand corner is the entry parking lot, 2 classrooms there, and then where the red indicator is the main office, and kindergarten 1, 2, 3, and 4 classrooms, also the library. The areas that are boxed in blue would be delegated to the elementary school students, along with you can see the playground is circled at the bottom as well. The yellow or gold box is a group of 3.5 bungalows that are allocated to 6th, 7th, and grade, excuse me, 6th, 7th, and 8th grades, so the middle school or junior high. And then the furthest 3 bungalows on the campus in the upper, I guess it's the northwest corner, would be reserved for the resource center for the 9th through 12th students who come in and get assistance or work in the lab.
How many classrooms are in those 3 buildings?
3,
The red ones?
3 large classroom buildings.
3 classrooms.
Right.
And how many 9th through 12th graders were on the previous chart?
We're looking at 100 for 9 through 12, 25.
Is that what the bars would have added?
Yes.
Together?
Yes. And that comes from outreach and feedback from the community in terms of interest.
So it's 30 kids in a classroom, 31 or 2?
25 per grade level.
K to 8 is
No, I'm
28.
The K to 8's easy,
Yeah.
because the kids are there every day, and so,
Yeah.
you know, you just take the number of belly buttons of that age,
Yeah.
and then you divide by the number of
So yes,
classrooms.
yes, 33 in a classroom in those. Right.
33.
If they're all there at one time.
Right.
Right.
But, so at 4 days a week, you know, maybe then you're down to 4/5 of 33, which
Correct.
is 28.
Right. And then the other issue I know that has come up was separation of bathroom facilities. If you look directly over to the right, there's a separate facility that can be used for the high school students. The other issue was parking. Would there be enough parking? We've gone through and we looked at probably roughly 100 parking spaces, doing an analysis of the current high school students that would drive. We see about 30% at our high school. So we're talking about, I think it's in the packet, 17 or so students on average would be coming from the high school for parking spots. Maybe
Just,
a little bit
let me
more.
make a comment real quick here.
Sure.
I'm the only board member here, as you know, this is the Acton Aqua Dulce Unified School District.
Yes.
I'm the only board member that's from Aqua Dulce here.
Yes.
So I do have a special interest in this. Also, I serve on the Aqua Dulce Town Council. I'm in my 4th term in the Aqua Dulce Town Council. In my opinion, speaking for myself, I know your kids are the best types of kids possible. Okay? Even all our kids are good. Like I just dropped my son off at a junior high school party, right, with 50 kids there yesterday. It was the last day of school, and that was really tame compared to the parties I go to, you know, in Burbank. So I know your kids are even better behaved than our kids, right? But in my opinion, the correct process for introducing high school kids into the community of Aqua Dulce in a campus that's not designed for high school kids is to have some kind of collaboration with the Aqua Dulce Town Council and the residents of Aqua Dulce. And for that reason, I can't support this. You know, well, unless they're changing that, you know, this is for, so I can't, just so you know, we have had you guys haven't approached this, the town in any manner. And I know maybe the parents are for it, and I would support that if the parents are for it. But I think the proper way to address this is not just in front of us at the board here, is to come over there. Let's say that Acton were a town that does not have a middle school or a high school, right? And we have 4 board members here from Acton, and we were about to put a high school there, high school kids there, and then I was sitting here saying, I don't care, I'm from Aqua Dulce. That wouldn't be the right way to approach this. So I would just say that to my fellow board members, that that's something to take into consideration. There has to be a collaboration, then you'd have no bigger supporter than me. I know these are great kids, and I don't think there's going to be any negative effect to our town. It has to be something, you know, that involves our town of Aqua Dulce, and that's the proper way of doing that is through the Aqua Dulce Town Council.
I understand that and appreciate that, and would ask you, would the proper mechanism be to go through you or through another member of that?
It will be through our Aqua Dulce Town Council President, Don Henry. You know.
I must say I disagree. The town council still govern our schools. They have totally different ways of becoming town council members. They have different standards. They have different election rules. We govern, and I do believe there's not one board member on this board would discriminate or hold any ill or bad feelings toward anybody in Aqua Dulce, or vice versa.
That's not what I was saying.
And until we have elections where we district our representatives, we 5 represent everybody.
No, I'm just saying that if we're gonna put high school kids in the town of Aqua Dulce, we need to involve the town of Aqua
That's
Dulce.
his opinion.
That's my opinion.
Frankly, I shared many of the same concerns, but I'll get to my own in a minute.
Can I jump in on this while we're
I was
kind of
gonna ask
right
about the
here?
bathrooms. Go ahead.
While we're kind of right here. Okay, we're diving into the empty pool now. First off, everybody needs to know that I have a daughter that goes to the high school. She's been there for 4 years. Her school is going to be shut down. So I have a choice to make here. Do I want to protect the interests of one child, or do I want to protect the interests of the 1,100 children, that about half the community that voted for me? Sorry, daughter, I got 1,100 kids. You can either be one of them or you can go do whatever you want. The concern I have here is about the Aqua Dulce campus. It's always been about the Aqua Dulce campus. And that said, we issued a correction notice to them because of enrollment. Newsflash, Aqua Dulce always has 140 kids no matter who is running the campus. So nobody's the bad guy. The bad guy is, the last time we went over in the Santa Clarita Valley and played around, we paid $350,000 in legal fees, and you're paying back another $400,000 in legal fees. And sorry, I wasn't the one that called the attorney. But at the end of the day, our program is being debilitated because of all these additional costs. So every time we go out, everybody lawyers up, and so I'll ask for an opinion again on you guys. But the bottom line is this. When this community stood in front of us, and I was there, I said, we want choice in this community. And we were offered choice, but that choice stopped at 5th grade. And it became very laborsome for someone who wanted to continue down the Einstein path to move into 6th, 7th, and 8th and onto the high school. So I don't know if people are going to drive here. I don't know what they're going to do. There's all kinds of logistics to work out. But I have been very vocal in the parent meetings over there. I was over there yesterday, and I'm not interested in enticing Hort to come over here and take action against us. I'm not interested in other legal battles. I am interested in making this a viable campus. How long have you guys been there now? 4 years? 5 years?
This is the 5th year.
Okay, so we're not doing anything to attract enrollment, and that's nobody's fault. So I think this blended model is going to be attractive to some people, and I think it's going to increase enrollment. And I think everyone's smart enough to know, I mean, I'm not an educator, even I get it. When your enrollment goes down to the point where all you've got is your common read, write, all that, your enhancements, your music, your cultural things go out the window. And I think the school's been getting beat up because costs, enrollment goes down, the teachers go down, and then you've got a dream being corrupted just by the nature of the business. So I want you to know that I'm going to vote based on what's good for the community. I'm not going to tell you I don't care what happens at the other schools, but I do have a vested interest in making sure that that community over there, even though I don't live there, has a viable school. And you are under obligation to present a plan that presents some type of fiscal change, and I see this more as you fulfilling that responsibility than anything else.
And listen, we're overcomplicating this. Let me just interject. It's happened to me many times tonight. You know, the beginning of other people's sentences getting the middle of mine. But let me just say, all I'm talking about, I was a swing vote on allowing, Einstein to be in this community. I'm a supporter. It was a 3-2 vote. Mr. Layton voted against Einstein to be one of our charters. That's just the facts. And I'm simply talking about putting high school students in Aqua Dulce. I'm not talking about, and there's no need in Aqua Dulce for high school going to Einstein. None of those kids, I'm willing to bet a big, amount that none of the kids in that program for Aqua Dulce will be from our own town. Okay, it's not something that the communities come and ask me. Now, we have to involve the Aqua Dulce community before we put high school kids in a school that's not designed for high school kids. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Perfectly
I'm
in
not saying
agreement with
anything
you.
else.
I asked, at least a month ago, if this were at all gonna have a possibility of coming forward, that it would be on the future agenda items. Maggie's no stranger to our board meetings. She's been in here. She heard all my rant last time about the volatility of the charter school income, some of it being in her court, some of it being the income that comes to us, the revenue that comes from us. So, I mean, I beat that horse till it's dead, but I don't see them pressuring through. You have an injunction a hearing next month. You're filing to the state on the heart issue. That's completely separate, is my understanding. And so we're at the last board meeting of the year, and I think that there's been talk that they would have these outreach meetings with the community. Is that something that you guys will do? And if the community says that's not the solution, then you'll have to respect that. And that's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Paul.
Can I ask, you made reference to the bathrooms about 5 minutes ago. You said they were to the right. What bathrooms are envisioned to be used by high school students?
They are in the upper right-hand corner of this.
They're like behind the trees. No, we're not having them go in the trees.
No, I know. I appreciate your attempt at levity.
No, I just.
Is that to say that it's a distinct bathroom building than the other kids would use?
That's my understanding.
Because, yes. Okay.
Well, show us the bathroom on there, because I know the campus, my son went there for 6 years. And those trees, you see, I planted those in the center there.
That bathroom they want to use for the high school kids.
Okay, I know that bathroom. Now, which bathroom is going to be used for the elementary kids? Just point the area. Right there, okay, I know that bathroom. And how about the middle school kids?
They already use.
There's a bathroom right where your arrow is. Right where your arrow, there's a bathroom right there. There's a bathroom to the right there, to the left of the green box, by the trees there.
Yep.
That's the high school kids. How about the middle school kids?
So I think we would ask what the preference of the community is, and they use the height. So the 6th graders currently use both, right? And so whatever the preference of the community would be, 7th and 8th grade could go to the high school restroom if you like, or I think that's just the currently 6th graders.
I mean, I think if the middle school kids go to the elementary school kids and the bathroom, then that's not fair to the bathroom, to the elementary kids. If the middle school kids go to the high school bathroom, that's not fair to the middle school kids, right? So we have to separate those three. We can maybe get temporary bathrooms if you guys do that, something like that.
Sure.
You can't have the kids.
This is generally, we're using bathrooms as the example, but I think the general vibe, and certainly it's my concern, is how do you really convert an elementary school into a school that provides for high school kids? And that's a tough nut to crack. I mean, I can't imagine trying to do it at Meadowlark Elementary.
You couldn't do it with DSA.
So there is a difference between a full-time high school. This would not work.
Well,
for a full-time high school, right? This doesn't have.
I
an
understand,
appropriate space
and the
for-
differential.
I would never.
I hear you, but the differential is, and I know you're trying, I mean, I believe you're trying to thread a needle, and the needle I think you're trying to thread is, you know, up to 4 days a week. You know, so at 4 days a week, it looks a lot like a high school to me. At 1 day a week, it looks a lot more like a learning center.
Exactly.
And by your own
Yes.
testimony to the plan you're trying to create, which I totally understand if it was an appropriate facility. It's an awesome plan for an appropriate facility. I have problems because when you implement that plan, it looks a lot like a high school. Okay, except there's no football field or any of the or any of the athletic facilities. And
Or
you know,
community
so I'm having trouble. I can't imagine. That's a pretty petite school. To me, it's
Hey,
petite.
you guys
It's an
know,
elementary
this
school.
is a last minute thing, last second, you guys know you have to involve the community. You guys know,
Okay.
you guys should have done
So,
that.
so thank you for answering the question about, shall we let them continue?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, keep going. Thank you.
I guess we were moving into some of the other expected students that would come from the Santa Cruz Valley. Certainly there are those from Aqua Dulce here tonight, and we will continue on who are from Aqua Dulce. But I know that those at the current high school have graduated with honors. 47 out of 63 students. 75% of those students graduated with honors. If you compare those to the other high schools in the area, they're high achieving students. I think that it would be an opportunity to improve the scores at the school for one. Also, just based on what we've done so far at the high school, again, junior high and high school, which by the way is a building and a campus that's much smaller than the current elementary school, coexisting grades 7 through 12, sharing the same bathrooms, etc. So they're just to get, I don't want to go back into that whole situation, but we've done that very successfully for the past 7 years. Those of our students who have graduated from Einstein, that's a breakdown of where they've gone following graduation. Private or out-of-state schools, 35%, community colleges, 33%, Cal State's 20%, UC 7.5%, and not every year, but quite often we have those 1 or 2 students that choose to serve our country. We've been WASC accredited at the high school for the entirety that we've been there. Just to identify some of the strengths that are associated with those who will be going to run the program, implement the program, both teachers and administrators. It was identified areas of strengths where it was a strong academic program, steady test scores, improved AP scores. The faculty are highly qualified, credential in their subject areas, fiscally sound with a strong series of checks and balances. All stakeholders focused on student achievement and success. There's a high level of parental involvement, opportunities, and participation. Students feel supported and have a high level of respect for their teachers. There's excellent communication within the AEA community. There are high expectations for all of our students. Strong culture of inclusion, tolerance, care, and support. Great deal of respect for fellow students and families there. And again, we talked about the high rate of college acceptances. Our faculty retention is high, averages about 85% over the 7 years. I don't know that you want to see all of these test scores. They are available in the packet that we gave you. It's suffice to say that our students have done very well when compared to counterparts in the district and state level. ELA, math, science, AP exams. We've had an increase in both in those taking those exams, and for the past 3 years, we've been above the California average and the global average. Most recently, we don't have these past year's results, but last year's results, we were 83% pass rate, 3 or higher. Again, similar results for PSAT, and then again, completion of high school graduation requirements, again, exceed the district and the state. I didn't realize we'd be so interactive throughout this. The reasons to support, just to summarize, enables us to provide a continuity of the AEA program that already exists in K through 6. Challenging college preparatory high school program. Again, the highly qualified, high achieving teachers, highly qualified teachers and high achieving students, sorry. A wide variety of elective and extracurricular choices. This is something that the blended learning model will actually enhance at the elementary school level as well, being able to bring in more personnel and offer more choices with regards to electives. Opportunities to develop student leadership. Again, we talked about a strong culture of inclusion, tolerance, and acceptance. Strong community involvement and outreach. Continued high level of parental involvement. Providing Aqua Dulce families with a choice in education.
I just want to, and a good working relationship with this board. So one point of clarification I want to make, I feel like it's getting a little bit murky. So there's the injunction, which is separate of this. So I'm committed to this no matter what happens. These people are also my constituents, right? So if I don't start to listen to them, we're not going to exist anymore. So I am committed, no matter what happens, to this model. So I want to make sure that that's made clear. It's not like a
We all are.
fling,
We've supported you all
yeah,
the time.
fling stuff up there in hopes that, so that I wanted to make sure is clear. The other thing, when we talk about students, we have done a survey of students, we've done a survey of staff. So I think that we have also had some difficulty staffing at Albert Einstein because of fear that we're not going to financially make it. If I'm a teacher and I look at that, I'm like, holy crap, they're gonna have to lay off somebody. These folks are committed. They are still coming to work every day when we don't have a school for them to come to. So they believe in this team. I believe in this team. I believe in these parents.
What's the total number of students that go to Aqua Dulce currently?
Today at the campus, 138.
Okay. What are you projecting that will be going there after this?
288.
Well, that, yeah, 288, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
With
What
the-
percentage,
without this?
how many children currently come from an Aqua Dulce address?
At K to 6,
Mhm.
Albert Dulce, I don't know, 100, maybe 80%. Some come from Acton, some come from, I actually can pull that up. We have a heat map, so I can send that to you.
So out of the 138 students you currently have, you would say that 80% are from Acton or Aqua Dulce?
Yes, so I'm trying to pull something up and I'm like, why is it not my
Yeah, those
computer?
numbers are important because that's
Yeah.
nowhere near what I remember from previous.
I will have to, I'm not gonna.
Okay, so that's, and then out of the 288 that you're talking about projecting, what percentage would coming, are you saying that there's high school students from Aqua Dulce looking to attend high school?
There's a mom right there, another
Okay,
parent.
but of the 100 kids.
Of the 100, less than 10%,
Less than 10%.
yes.
That's
So-
like 10 kids.
So 10 kids will be, you would say, from Aqua Dulce, and the rest would be kids coming from
10
Santa
kids,
Clarita?
10 kids that I know now. We've not even offered it because I don't have a program to offer. So our
Are
initial
these kids that will be
interest
going to Vasquez High School otherwise?
I don't know what your kids would, I don't know, I can't speak for where they would
The
put their
homeschool
kids.
as well?
Yeah,
Yeah, they could be in
I don't know what they would do with
Okay, these numbers are
He is one.
important,
there. They are, 90%.
it. Yeah.
are not from Aqua Dulce.
And I just want to say, these numbers, the only students I have access to ask
I
right now are our own students, right? So we've not even, we don't have a charter to offer, so we've not, I don't know how many.
But you don't have space for more than that based on what we just looked at.
There are empty bungalows, even on that map. There are 3 to 4 empty.
So if this were not approved tonight, what would this look like?
Well, it's not.
I'm just saying, I want to base my vote on that, I'm just asking.
There is no vote tonight.
And I didn't hear what you said, sorry.
Okay, so how is your time constraint on this? What's your time, what time are we looking at here?
So, you know, school starts in September.
Okay.
So to even get a program up and running, we have started, right? So we have to be able to pull the trigger on this if you say yes fairly quickly. So we've identified curriculum, we've worked on the bell schedule, we've worked on making sure that the bell schedule for the high school is not the same as the bell schedule for the elementary school. So as they're coming and going, they're not crossing paths. We have, in your packet, we have looked at courses that we could offer as a result. We have curriculum already aligned, A through G and AP, that we can offer now elementary age students. So right now, an 8th grader, if you approve to go to 8th grade, and we're not even talking about high school, and you have an 8th grader that's ready for algebra, we will be able to provide them with algebra because we'll have a highly qualified teacher. Foreign language instruction gets better.
So
we're ready.
Our back is up against the wall anyway, right?
Yours isn't up against so much of mine.
Well, no,
right?
we're in partnership,
Yeah.
we're in partnership with you, and that's how I look at it. And we've supported you all along.
Yes,
Um,
yeah, for sure. I
now,
have
let me
nothing
ask you
but
this.
wonderful things to say about this.
Let me ask you, just so I'm not ignorant about the subject, how did we get to the point, just so I understand in simple terms,
Sure.
that we're at the, we're at the 11th hour on this and we're doing this all the way at the last minute?
Sure. So this is Part of it is that, we looked at our enrollment, and Steve asked me to do a fiscal stabilization plan, and I looked and I went, I can cut my way to prosperity. I would be disingenuous to say that I don't know that I happen to have 100 and something kids that are willing to come up here because they have no place else to go. So that just happened recently. So this accelerated a plan that was in my 2 to 3 year fiscal stabilization plan. It accelerated it for sure, the closing of the high school. So the closing of the high school impacts the financials of this school up here too, because when they go negative, I have to use those funds, as Art pointed out very publicly, to support that school. If those funds go away, I don't have that anymore. So this school suffers. So that 33,000 and that very small reserve with cuts assumes, that's the budget, assumed that the high school is going to exist, and if that didn't happen, and we needed to hire one more teacher, I was gonna take funds from there through intercompany transfers, no commingling, it's all documented properly, and do that. And we've had to do that for the past 2 years. So that closing of the high school jeopardizes all of my schools, and that's the truth. This school is the most in jeopardy because it's negative net income every year. So that becomes very tricky. Without the surplus, I end up in a bit of a sticky wicket, and Steve's plan is a lot harder for me to develop.
So basically, because the decision to close the high school was recently made, and also that the income from the high school will be supporting the elementary kids, which many of them are from Aqua Dulce.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Maggie, I want to point a clarification. Only in the charter world do you have this requirement, I think, where I'm going to have this school over here, and it has to function completely on its own. It has to have its own budget. It has to have its own everything. But in public school, how many school districts do you know that have 30, 40 schools? The board gets together, sets priorities, sets the budget. One school might get $2 million worth of improvement this year. This one gets $25,000. And this is all put together as a district-wide budget. But in your world, the regional pressure over there has resulted in all of a sudden the rug gets pulled out from you, and it affects, it's a rolling blackout type of thing. But again, my understanding of this, and I've attended the meetings enough and pointed this out ad nauseum to say, short of anything else that happened, the model that is happening at Aqua Dulce right now does not seem to be long-term beneficial to the educational outcomes we're desiring. Now, it's my understanding that this blended model, and I'm not trying to sell it, but the kids that are leaving the high school right now that have 4 years of Hebrew or 3 years of Mandarin, who are trying to enroll in other schools, they're told we don't have Hebrew, we don't have Mandarin, but we're willing to give you 1 or 2 years of some other language credit. Now, we know from our own high school, I don't want to put you on the spot here, Ty, but there's a laboratory there where there are computers and there are limited number of students because our enrollment is not 22,000 or something, where a limited number of students can be with a qualified teacher and take a blended program over a computer in a monitored and productive environment where outcomes are measured. And the way this was explained to me was that's what this blended learning looks like. What I'm most interested in, and I'm not going to raise my hand because I'm on the board, but is there not a sufficient number of students who commute from our district boundaries? Again, I'm only talking about our district boundaries. Either you live here or you do not, that commute to one or more AEA campuses outside of this district. Does anyone have kids that does that?
I'm not sure I understood that question.
Do you have kids that have to commute to go to another campus?
Yes.
Are they risking losing their school?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're in the same boat as me. So if they had an option here, you would have an ability to choose to send them to that school because you have been sending them to the school in the beginning anyway. And so that is an option, whether it's blended learning or whatever it is. And this solution needs to happen outside of anything Hart does. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not at all interested in bringing the Hart people in here in their lawyer game at all. I'm good, I'm good.
I have a couple more questions, and then poor Mr. Vistazo probably has been very patient. So I got it, 238 kids were in the presentation, 100 of them high school aged. On page 15 of the charter,
Yes.
I mean, I knew it had to be a typo or something, I think. It says 1,400 kids in grades K through 6.
So we just did a material revision of the original charter.
I understand.
Yeah, so we,
But you can see where enrollment's kind of important to us because
Yeah.
of the repurposing of an elementary school.
yeah, so I had heard that you wanted that, so that's why we made sure that in your packet today you saw that the real,
Okay.
so when I started to tweak we really could change everything, so
All right, I just want to know how to
Yeah.
read it. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
1,500
No.
kids. On page 5, it says 532
Yes, that's you.
students in K through 8 plus learning centers. So that is a change. Now that would connotate 538 plus more.
Yeah, we should change.
Well, plus 100 if you see these charts, and these charts aren't in the charter.
So 2 years ago, we did have 532 students up there. And the revision was that we did allow for this in, the only revision I asked was the percent of time. So this is the original
I
reading in the charter.
understand, and I do.
And if we have 532 kids in elementary school, I'll find another place.
I understand, but you know, part and parcel to this thing, kind of what makes it work is the lease.
Yeah. Right?
Right? And the lease, I have
Facility.
qualms about the facilities lease
Yes.
as, because of the large changes in the usage of the facility. And that's why the numbers are important. So,
Yes.
I mean, I have written down on my page 1,400 students in K through 6 with 54 teachers. In a different place, 532 students, when in reality you're telling us 288.
Yes.
And so the number's 288.
Yes, I'm asking.
I mean,
so how
see,
did
normally
you-
we don't care about caps.
Yeah.
Now we kind of, or at least I should not say we. I do.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not worried about minimums are important to make the math and the business plan work. Maximums are important to me to make sure we don't wear out or repurpose the school.
For sure.
And so that's why I'm trying, that's,
Yeah, so.
so what do you imagine the maximum to be?
Definitely didn't hit those. Which is why I made a point. to
It
that.
sounds like the
That's-
288 is the number that you're gonna, let me ask the question, the 288 is the number you're gonna peg to the financials that will ultimately get reviewed like all charter financial sections get reviewed.
And if by some miracle, you know, we get 532 people in our K-8, we need to find another.
Well, I would suggest that we would need to somehow, even if you got me on board, we would need to specify a maximum.
Okay.
If nothing else, it's a facilities lease.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got it. So you're really thinking 288, maybe a couple extra. All right. All right. Now, I want to go to the timeline. By law, because this is the hearing and the charter's been presented, by law, how much time do we have to make a decision?
We thought we'd bring this back with a recommendation on July.
And not our plans, by law, how much time? Is it 60 days? What is it?
60 days.
Thank you. So normally, we should have up to 60 days to thoroughly review something. All right. Now I'm going to ask, what's the request? And the request is to come back when, or?
There was no request, it was our plan to bring
Okay.
it back to
Your
the next
plan
board meeting.
is the next board meeting, 2 weeks.
On the 29th?
2 weeks. July
13.
July
That's
13th.
what,
July 13th.
No, it's
that's
not.
what we've been doing with the other petitions.
Oh, I
but if
know,
you
this
wanna do
one's
something
special
different,
though. I mean, we're
open to-
repurposing an elementary school. I have no problems. For me personally, I've always supported your schools. You've had good outcomes. I've been the one saying that when I've been giving you the votes. Okay? A beast of a very different color. So what were we thinking? We're going to compress the 60 days with all these, I'll call them warts, you don't have to call them warts, with all these issues or warts into how much time?
Well, it's what we did with Eiley, where they brought you a hearing. We went through the entire petition and we came back in a 2-week period. If you want it to be vetted longer, I'm sure Amanda's going to applaud that.
Well, when does Amanda need it to happen so that she can pull a trigger? I'm trying to see how this works without, you know, breaking the board or having us rush into a pretty significant community decision.
She was told the 13th, but if you want us to
No,
push
that's
it, we
when
will.
you said, that's the commitment, so to speak, you made, that we would get back to them. I understand that. There's some pretty big issues here. I'm asking a different question. Now I know loss is 60 days. Now I know you set a target for us for 2 weeks. I'm asking them when they need to have an affirmative vote to make it happen. The latest.
The latest,
You know, you got to open school on September something.
September 6th is the first day of school.
Work backwards.
It's 30 days. But we could, we're not gonna stop planning, right? So-
August 6th?
August 6th.
I don't know, is that 30, it's like August 7th is 30 days? I don't know when your board,
The next regular board meeting is August 24th, I believe.
Does this have
After the July board, regular board.
Maybe I can help
No,
out.
hold on.
That would
I
be
have a
tricky.
very
August
firm
24th.
logic to what I'm asking.
August 24th would be tough.
I agree.
Yeah.
So I think there's very firm logic. One is, like all petitions, we're obligated by law to do our processing, to make sure we get it right in 60 days. Now, this isn't normal. We've made a commitment because we understand, or Ms. Lytle's made a projection, I'll say, because we understand this is rushed, we got 2 weeks. I'm trying to work back from your schedule from September 2nd, when do you have to have it happen? And you would say August 7th, 6th. Larry's saying we don't even have a board meeting in August.
Regular board meeting.
Do we have to be during a regular board meeting, or can we make a special board meeting?
I'm trying to work some of the logistics so I'm not backed into a corner,
We
which
don't
I
have
kind of
any
feel like I
regular,
am,
we don't have
frankly.
any regular board meetings until then.
We have a list of proposed board meetings that July 13th is the next, July 27th is after that, if that would be better suited. And then you have a couple of specials on a Saturday and a Sunday, and then we're into August 24th, which is too
Well, we
late.
could add a special if that's what it took. I mean,
Can we legally do that?
we can always add a special.
No, as far as, is there any reason you were saying,
I'd have
Larry,
to
that
look into
the
it,
next
why we-
regular board meeting is then? or-
Okay, no, I'm not done. And poor Mark hasn't gone yet. So I understand.
Mark.
Now, okay, I got the answer. You need to know definitively August 6th-ish. I got it. I mean, there's some pretty, for me anyway, meaty things involved
Yeah.
here. Mr. Porter talked about reaching out to the community that would be getting the high school where they used to have an elementary school. Also, you know, our ability to fully go through the charter, you know, even, let's say, the financial section in 2 weeks is not exactly clear.
This isn't a new petition, this is a material revision
I understand,
to
but
an
it has
existing
significant
petition.
financial implications. I mean, that's what's driving it. So I feel like we would need to go through those finances. Am I wrong? Very, very thoroughly?
Well, I don't subscribe to the fact that this is a material revision. This is a wholesale, brand-new model that should really have its own petition, but I'll get into that.
Okay.
So I don't go with the fact that the timeline should be similar to other material revisions, because we didn't move from point A to point B, we went to an entire different planet in this model. And I don't think the material revision even fits here, but.
Mike?
Okay,
Just a second. This is really gonna be helpful along Mark's lines. I've got a list of stuff in the petition that I would have some questions about. I'll zip through those, I'll submit them, but here we go.
Well,
can I just say the revision was, we're actually making the K-12 is what the independent study blended learning was. And we're actually closing it down in eliminating grades, it was not to incur costs. So the revision is actually making it stricter. The 7th and 8th grade for the campus is the real biggest material revision.
To get right to the point, this is a very short list, but here's some of the things I would ask about your petition. I know that this was just a few things were changed, but there's team members and staff members. I have an intimacy with this organization, so I know a lot about it more than others. There are team members and staff members who are no longer with the organization. That needs to be changed. The current governing board, I don't think that that's the governing board that's listed. That needs to be updated. I would like to know when the last election was, and we need to know who the governing board. I'm not sure about the EPO, but I need to know the governing board. Is the staff list accurate? Are there key staff that have changed? Is the consulting list, the people that supply back of house services, has that list changed? There are document references to get out into the nitty gritty. There's API, AYP, and NCLB references throughout. Those programs don't exist anymore. The STEAM references in the programming, I think that's more of an educational model, and it's not referencing the Pinecrest site. Perfect. Deal killer for me, page 78, Government Code 1090 has been removed. That's not good. That I don't want to get into the weeds out here, but that typically represents that there's some organizational structure issue that needs to be remedied, and that's certainly not the way to do it. The diversity outreach that's described on page 120 to 123, that's still representing the Santa Clarita Valley and all the way into Castaic, and I'm not sure that's your model anymore for this. And then finally, willful defiance for expulsion, page 125, that is no longer valid. That's all I have. Thank you.
So I just need a clarification. So we submit our handbook every year to them, and our if you can see, our current suspension and expulsion policy doesn't have willful defiance in it anymore. So I just need to know, do we treat this like a new petition, start over? Or do we treat it like a material revision and just change? Because that's a pretty significant, that's a renewal.
Oh, I hear Mr. Falsgraf expressing his opinion that you should bring it current.
Okay.
Yeah,
If you're making a material revision, it's pretty meaty anyway in the context of the kids you're bringing over and the ages, and what's actually happening in the school,
Okay.
which is where I'm focused. But I think Mr.
Mark has a
Falsgraf
point.
is suggesting that it should be brought current where it's not current. Anyway, look, you guys do a great job teaching kids. I've supported you. I support school choice. I don't know how many districts have 50% of their elementary schools as charter schools. That's us. For me, it's not about the fact that you offer a good educational experience. For me, it's repurposing an elementary school. So whether this goes to the lease that's part and parcel to making this work, or to the charter itself, repurposing an elementary school into a high school, which is blended learning on the surface, but in practice, the kids, if everything goes your way, and I love the idea, just maybe not in these buildings that were made for kindergarten through 5th grade, this idea of, but parts of this whole thing is you have them on campus quite a bit. Because that's how you're going to make all that work, and that's what sets this apart maybe from typical resource centers and all that. I get it, I've heard you, it's a great idea, it's further repurposing the campus.
Yes.
And so those are my big concerns. I want to be clear about the maximum number of kids that are there. I want us to have time to do a thorough financial review, especially since the motivation for this is financial, to fix the findings that Dr. Steve had.
So I have to submit that to him by Monday anyway, so you will have a pretty...
Okay, I mean, but it should be consistent with the minimum number of students
Yeah.
and the maximum number of
Yep.
students, because at least as far as the lease goes, maximums are important to me.
Yeah.
So this is where I am.
Okay.
And then we'll let Mark do his thing. Uninterrupted.
In balancing the needs of of an institution that we have supported all along, and been there right at the beginning with, right?
Yep.
We have to balance those financial needs with the well-being of the community, right?
Yes.
So we have to, as a board, in my opinion, and I would be flabbergasted if the majority of the board wouldn't agree with this, it's a no-brainer. We have to either, as a board, involve the community, right? Which is, as a board, we go like everything else we do, like we just recently did. We go to the community, and you know, we're involving the community in picking out a new superintendent, down to the kids even, right? The kids in class are getting stuff about that. We have to involve the community, excuse me, we have to involve the community about what Will said, okay? And that has to be done as a board, or we can do it with you guys through the Aqua Dulce Town Council. If we do it through the board, we just, you know, we do our thing and get with the community and inform them of what's happening. We do it through the Aqua Dulce Town Council. I'm happy to help you. I'm the Acton Aqua Dulce Unified School District liaison to the council. And you have my information. I can make a presentation with you or without you to the town council. We're on hiatus now, so we have to do some kind of special meeting or something. However, like I said, that can be circumvented because we are the governing body as long as it comes to the children for both towns. We can go as the school to the community of Aqua Dulce. But in my opinion, and I think, like I said, it's a total no-brainer, that has to be, we're repurposing the school, the community has to be involved, and I'm hoping that they say they don't care. And I will be a part of explaining what type of these kids these are and you know, what your institution is all about, okay? So we have to take one of those two routes.
Mark, poor Mark, you ready to shoot? Or shoot, the wrong term. Ask your questions. We have some comment cards.
Well, do we want to hear from the community first, or should I go?
Which order? I mean, we've asked our questions, so we'll do this again.
That's up to you.
Why don't you go ahead and ask your question?
All right. I'm a little frustrated. You're going to get some tough love from me. I'm a little frustrated because I feel that there are significant issues here that if they're not changed, I won't support. But this is why we have the benefit of the public hearing, so we can get it all out. But my frustration will be is that if we can't get over those issues, there will be members of the community that will call me and say, what the hell's the matter with you, Mark? Why aren't you supporting us? We're disappointed in you. Okay? And if I want to avoid that and actually represent the community, I assume that everybody's here. There's not going to be anybody that stands up and says, do not let this evil demon come into our school district. I'm sure everybody is here to support it. Okay? But my issue is I want to be able to support it. I want to be able to meet the expectations of my constituents. But I'm frankly looking at a model here that is in trouble. And maybe I misunderstood you, but you had indicated that it wasn't your back against the wall, it was ours.
No, it's my back.
Okay, as long as
No,
we're clear,
as I said,
it's
I'm-
your
my
back
back's
that's against the wall.
not you. Not you.
We went to battle with Newhall on this. We had a superintendent that expended a tremendous amount of personal capital and professional capital. We did as board members, in order to support this school, to give our Aqua Dulce parents, because to be frank with you, I could care less about the Santa Clarita School and improving the Santa Clarita School. We have improved the Santa Clarita School with the understanding we would be able to get the Aqua Dulce partnership. Okay? And even though, and I know you weren't part of this, Maggie, but you can't escape the history. Even though the board and the superintendent and the CFO had warned Einstein over and over and over and over again, you got to get your financials in order, you never did. You never did. And this is why you don't have a high school. And basically, when we fought Newhall, we put a target on our back. And we were a target just waiting for an arrow. And they finally found one. And we've been shot with it, and now we're dealing with this. I will make this very clear. I do not consider this a material revision. To me, this whole thing should have been blown up, and you should have started from scratch, because this is not, you are making such a significant change to the operation that this charter doesn't fit. First of all, you're showing Dr. Shapiro as the lead petitioner. Is Dr. Shapiro part of your organization any longer?
No, but he was the lead proficient, so in a material revision.
Maggie, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. He's not with your organization any longer. He also shows as an executive member of your staff. Is that the case any longer?
No.
No. So this is going to be, when we approve this charter, it will become a public document for anybody to read. And people are going to go read it, and from a constructive perspective, we are in a constructive way, we are misinforming the public about all of these different things. Virtually nothing in the petition that you're trying to revise is applicable any longer. And it does not represent what it is that you're going to be doing at the school. On page 4, it reads that the charter school will provide a voluntary public school education choice for parents with students in grades K through 8, and you deleted 6 and put 8, who will be educated in a study option learning centers for students in grade 9 through 12. Well, what learning centers? Are there multiple learning centers? Then this materially misrepresents what the actual facts on the ground are. You're also indicating that all independent study offerings will be in compliance with the Ed Code, and even in your presentation this evening, you indicate that this is an independent study model. But is it not true that all of the students, if they chose to do so, could all attend school 5 days a week? I don't consider that independent study. Not if they all have a chance to show up and sit in a chair. So it's no longer a resource center. It's a full-on, full-blown, seat-based classroom. Now, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that because it's going to be in our district. So it doesn't necessarily need to be online legally. It doesn't need to conform with Shasta. None of that is applicable. Because it's going to be, it would in essence be a seat-based school with the political subdivision or the authorizer. So everything is good there, except that's not what the petition reads. And I suspect that if 100 kids showed up on the first day of school and continued to show up every single day, that's not an independent study model. What I also don't see here is that for the kids who do choose to have an independent study model, what is that independent, you've listed all the A through G's and the course offerings, but all of this that you showed tonight is not in here. It needs to be in here. This document is not going to be the formal charter petition that we vote on. This is going to be some side document. This should not be a side document. The map, where the people are going to go to school, where they're going to sit, what grade levels, what the A through G course offerings are, should all be contained in the petition. And for those who are going to do an independent study model, what is that? Are you going to use an online service provider for independent studies like other virtual academies do?
Yeah, for both, for even the ones that come on campus.
Okay, but what is that model? It's not named. Who's for the lack of a better term, who's that vendor?
Edgenuity.
But it's not listed here, is it?
No.
So when we're evaluating whether you meet the 16 elements, and we're talking about the viability of success of your education program, how do we do that if we don't even know in your petition who your service provider is and what it is that they offer? If it's there, I certainly don't see it. It also suggests that the school is going to open in 2013-14. Well, I know it's an old petition, but this whole new model that you're presenting should be representing 17-18. Otherwise, some person who looks at this in the future, who didn't have the benefit of attending this meeting or whatever, is going to look at it and say, oh, they have this blended model over at Aqua Dulce where everybody's on the same campus, and they opened in 2013. But that's not true. So the only thing that's really material here is a lot of not that you're trying to do so, but in effect, it's a misrepresentation of what your program is going to be. And as a board member, I'm uncomfortable voting for it if it's not representing what your model is going to be. Now, I suspect that because of time, you just went ahead and made the changes that you need to make because it would have taken a lot of time to redo this, but it's just not, it's not holding water for me. Also on page 48, it talks about the transferability of credits of the high school to other schools, and that parents it will be made known to parents which units are transferable and which are not. That's not a selling point. It may be for some people in the audience, but that's not a selling point if I'm choosing to send my kid or considering sending my kid to Einstein 9 through 12 to hear that a determination about transferability will come sometime later. Shouldn't we know that by now, and shouldn't that be in the petition so that a parent who's considering the school will actually know what's transferable and what's not? The governance structure on page 78 also talks about will not commingle funds between schools, but that's exactly what Einstein has been doing in practice for several years.
The auditor says there's no commingling because the money stays the same and there's a system of intercompany.
But you're moving, okay, but you're still moving money from one school to another. Okay, I don't know when you state will not commingle funds. If the auditor is saying, well, it's technically not commingling, then it should define what commingling is.
Okay.
Because to me, it's commingling. And I've heard from parents almost from day one about how their perception has been that the Partnership Academy has gotten the short end of the stick as money and textbooks and things have moved to other schools. So it's a perception that's out there, okay? And all of these issues, to me, it's more than just an update. There's significant changes that would need to be made in order to get this to happen. And people may, after tonight, suggest that I don't support this. They're free to do that, and I do it at my own peril, that I'll get the phone calls that say, why aren't you supporting us? Where the reality is I've been trying to support this school from day one. Okay? Move forward, fight, let them sue us. We'll prevail, we'll win. Let Newhall do what they're going to do. Let any school district do what they're going to do. We're going to offer our children and our parents a choice. And we've been slinging through the mud with you for 5 years. And now, because of, let's just call it what it is, and again, I'm not holding you responsible for this because you're relatively new, because of years of mismanagement, this school board is now have the spotlight put on it to fix it, when we didn't create the problem. And I am willing to try and fix it, but this is not a fix for me. There are way too many things that are there. And if children are going to be allowed, I'm going to go back to the high school, if children are going to be allowed to choose to be in a seat-based environment for 4 to 5 days a week, why wouldn't you say that? Why wouldn't you just say it? Instead of, and everything says independent study, independent study, independent study. And so, before tonight, when I hear independent study, I'm thinking it's independent study. And when somebody says this is an independent study program and we're going to have a resource center, that suggests to me I'm going to be...
Express, right. Because I've expressed this over and over many times that since I was a young man many years ago, I have been in favor of charter schools and vouchers and that type, without going into the reasons why again. Now, one thing I'm unclear of what we're going to be deciding on this program is if you're going to be presenting papers that we'll vote on for a material change that we have to decide to approve or disapprove, or whether after all of our input from all of us, there will be a new petition coming forth with something like a 9-12 high school. And as much as I'm in favor of the parents' choice of where to go, and I don't want to talk about past board sins. I don't want to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the school. If a parent wants that choice, I think they should have it. However, the problem we have here is I don't believe that what you're asking for, what you need, is a substantive change or a material revision. I don't know how you can take and say that we want to take a little school that may or may not fit the purpose and turn it into a high school campus and call it a 9-12 or 8-12 high school. So even with my firm belief in charter schools, the voucher system, and having all the feelings for the students that are going there now that would love to continue one way or another instead of making a choice of where to go, regardless of all that, I think that we can't call a giraffe an elephant. And I think what you're asking for is a high school program approved here, and I think that's what we have to seriously consider. Now, I'm only one board member. Maybe some of the board members think that we can iron this out with the material revision. I don't know if we've even really come to a discussion or consensus that it has to be one way or the other. But again, I'm going to close with just saying that I think if it's going to be a 9-12 or 8-12 high school, we have to face it that that's what it is and comply with what's required of us to sponsor the charter school.
Mr. President,
Who's going to address it?
as much as I believe that this should really just be a new petition, it would be cleaner that way. In order to do a new petition, you'd have to write a whole new petition, and you'd have to submit the new petition, and now we're going to have a public hearing again, and we're going to lose even more time. So for me, and I don't even know if this is a legal question or not, there is so much to be changed that is it even legal to make those changes? But let's assume that it is. I would leave it as a material revision for the sake of time, but the darn thing would read like it was a brand new petition. I mean, virtually everything would be redlined in there, and it would be revised to represent what the current function of the school is, and include all the things that we've discussed over the course of the evening here. Because if we do a new petition now, we're basically starting all over, and this entire hearing is done. I mean, it's other than it being a study session for what the new charter would look like, it's not going to satisfy the statutory purpose of having held a hearing. Because the moment you submit a new one, we're going to have a new hearing, and now we're even further into the dust in terms of time. So I'm comfortable with leaving it as a material revision, assuming there are no legal issues with it, but it needs to have some wholesale changes in it so that it reads right and that it materially represents what the school is going to be doing.
So Mike, just for the record, I read 9 things that I think are significant that would need to be, whichever way this pans out, and I can submit those to the superintendent in text form and
That's fine. Because you want to make sure that's expressly addressed. Mark did it orally, I did it orally, but if you want to follow up.
yeah, I'll
I'll
send them to you
And we've had a 2-hour
So
hearing. I think
we're
this is the
almost
blue
done.
book for what you need to do.
Now,
Right?
I will, for myself, in closing, and that's the nice thing about being president, I usually get to close. Whether you do it by material revision, or whether you do it by a new charter, I understand the new charter require another public hearing. For me, I've got to tell you, this is meaty enough, I'm not going to be rushed into an affirmative vote. And so, I frankly think that there's going to be another round of questions and answers, whether or not you want to call it another public hearing to a new charter or not. I'll let you figure that out. I think you've heard what needs to go in there. I think that there's enough questions, especially as to the maximum number of students and the minimums, and make the math work, certainly in the minimum case. I think there's enough questions in the context of what you got to do to the school, who's going to pay for it, and how does it stay a DSA approved project. That I just don't think, you know, this is meaty, that it's going to do it with one public hearing, and then poof, we're going to come back in and vote. You know, I'm just telling you that's me. And the fact that we're against the wall on time, I apologize for. I want to set expectations for the parents out there. That's not our doing, but I'll consider anything. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to call this closed at 10:10. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for putting the energy in on the behalf of the parents and kids. Some of them, well, the ones who are here, ours.
And the one thing I do want to say is that everyone says that none of this was my fault, but it is my organization, so it's my job to fix it, and I own the whole thing from the time we started until this very minute. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm asking people to forgive me if it's sins because they're mine. So.
I'm going to ask that we. Ask if we take like a 3-minute recess.
I appreciate that.
Get make sure the bathrooms are open.
Skip doesn't appreciate that.
Skip's not going to be here probably till midnight because he's up next.
We owe him Diet Coke, energy.
Give us 3 minutes.
Exclusive partnership with workforce investment. And you have 3 charters, by the way, that are under this, so it can help with all.
Absolutely. I appreciate you bringing it up to us.
Here we go. Oh, I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it. Why can't we hear it?
Can you stick a microphone near your speaker?
I actually have a speaker in the car if you want me to get it.
For the fact that I can't hear it out of my own computer's worrying me.
I'm hearing something right now.
Controller, please.
Opportunity Act into a federal law. This law moves Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, or WIOA, is a federal act that, among other things, addresses many of the challenges at-risk youth face when it comes to education and employment. It started with President Roosevelt in 1939. The New Deal's Work Progress Agency was founded to combat the vast unemployment brought on by the Great Depression. Throughout the decades, the movement has changed and adapted under different administrations. In 2014, President Obama signed the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act into a federal law. This law moves federal dollars to recipients across the country, helping to equip youth to find opportunities for success beyond socioeconomic barriers. Here's how it works. The Department of Labor sends WIOA funds to the employment development departments of all 50 states. Here in California, the state divides the monies to 47 different workforce development boards. One such WDB is the City of Los Angeles, who then divvies out the funds through grants to WIOA youth service providers, such as the Youth Policy Institute, for example.
WIOA has been in existence for 32 years. We've been providing primarily holistic services to the low-income communities. We're very fortunate that we have close to maybe $42 million in federal grants that we receive and help increase the graduation rates of low-income areas within the city of LA.
Under Department of Labor Federal Registry of 2016, WIOA programs are required to develop partnerships with local education agencies and dropout recovery programs in order to serve as many at-risk youth as possible. That's where Assurance Learning Academy comes in. Assurance is both an LEA and a dropout recovery program. The WIOA Youth Service Provider forms an exclusive partnership with Assurance Learning Academy, using WIOA resources to ensure every Assurance student earns their high school diploma and more. The exclusive nature of this partnership forms a perfect marriage as both entities strive to help at-risk youth. Youth that are not centralized in one region of LA County, but across the board. That's why we place centers in multiple locations, strategically forming multiple exclusive partnerships with workforce service providers, stretching federal dollars to serve at-risk youth in each area.
80% of the youth that come into our program do not have a high school diploma or a GED. So the main goal for us is to try to help them enhance their opportunities for employment and just in their career in general.
With our WIOA partners, we have this dual approach to making sure that not only are we providing the education, but we're providing an abundance of wraparound services. We develop our students who are in danger of really dropping out of high school, give them training so they can go right into workforce. What we offer here is the education component for that, and work closely with these partners and provide the work training, the education.
The vast majority of the students that come through our program actually come to the art school.
I was a drug addict. The past time I was doing meth. To continue my habit, I would have to steal people and all that. With the YPI program, I'm getting construction training, I'm getting a diploma. It's helped me a lot, so it's good motivation. It definitely helped me reach my goal.
They're also getting support when they go and visit the WIOA Youth Source Center. And then together we're providing this holistic wraparound approach for our students.
We offer a series of workshops that will provide the youth opportunities to become more familiar, savvy job seeker. We go over resumes, cover letters, interviewing, but more importantly, professionalism in the workplace.
Or we'll even provide them with, interview clothing and resume workshops, so they're really ready to get out there. A lot of our students have never interviewed for a job, never written a resume or filled out a job application. So along with YPI, we provide those workshops for them.
Going through those workshops and receiving that certificate pushes them up to a higher level. Well, he is doing something through the WIOA program. He completed successfully. He prepared well to get a job.
The other workshops that we offer are our college and career. This is where we start talking to the youth. Have you thought about going to school? Educational components that's going to help the youth become successful in obtaining a career of their choice. And we even provide informational workshops for the parents. And then the third component is the financial literacy piece, basically helping the youth understand what it's going to take from them to be successful as an adult.
The federal government also authorizes the Department of Labor to run Youth Build. The Department of Labor sends funds directly to the Youth Policy Institute, who in turn brings Youth Build students to Assurance Learning Academy.
We do Youth Build, which is a huge program. Then they get construction training as well as working toward a high school diploma.
Yes, we can help them academically, but with Youth Build, they give them employment, they give them job skills, certifications, they give them structure.
The Youth Build program is specifically designed to support youth who are interested in obtaining training in the construction trades. It basically provides a pre-apprenticeship certification, which includes both classroom setting instruction as well as on-the-job training.
My mom kicked me out. I didn't have nowhere to sleep. I would be sleeping house to houses. One of my friends actually comes to the school actually told me about it. Youth Build pretty much helps you on becoming on what area you want to be later on in life. They help you with many sources. They even help you out with giving you good clothing for the school.
We do provide uniforms for the youth because we want them to feel like they're at work. This is basically their job.
And also they give you money to go to school. I'm not a person that likes school, but this is one of the schools I actually do like and I actually appreciate.
Our culture is reflected in going the extra mile for our students. With the at-risk population, transportation is a huge barrier. So for us on our end, we like to provide our students with bus tokens or bus passes to help them get to and fro. It's actually scary to think about where students would be if they didn't have these options on the street or are in prison, and that's not what we want.
I know jail was hard, and I like coming to this school helped me, you feel me, not only just with the work at the school, they helped me get a job, graduating meant a lot to me because the people who doubted me, I'm showing them that I can do better. Showing them that I'm changing my life around, you know what I'm saying, and I'm showing myself to better things.
I think that the greatest success that I've seen is just the graduation from the individuals that come into the program. For many of these students who actually achieve their diploma, and many times they're in the first in their families.
I'll have a 20-year-old come in with 9th grade credits, and it just seems like this insurmountable goal just for them to hear, no, you can come in and we can help you and we can make this happen. And you're going to get your high school diploma. And just to see their face light up, it's something that they thought, honestly, at 22 was never going to happen for them. it's because of these programs and this partnership that we have that we can provide that for them.
The Workforce Innovation and Opportunity.
You don't want to
You
see
didn't
that.
get it the first time, we'll play.
I hope that answers your questions on, because you have 3 charters, SciTech, ourselves, and Pathways, that all do workforce investment. In fact, Pathways is across the whole state. SciTech has locations in LA, Boyle Heights, Long Beach. So we've got some great opportunities with our partner George here, who's one of our partners, of our known partners. Craig runs our WIOA programs across the state, and Pat and Bill, you've met. Pat runs special ed, and Bill runs all of our education services. So.
And your material revision here is to add 3 more centers.
It's actually at about 8 or 9. There were centers that were already existing. Once we got all, because they're not just through YPI, we have other partners as well. Once the funding got approved, which they just did, they do it every 3 years, George?
4 years.
Every 4 years. So we don't want to approve a location without knowing it's going to be in existence. So these centers are going to be, resource centers will be there for at least another 4 years. And there's already kids there. We've been serving kids there for the last 5 years. And because of our WIOA charter now, and SciTech will be adding, coming back and adding more locations as well, I'm sure, because they've got new opportunities. So as we grow with our partners, and Youth Build and WIOA funding has not been cut by our president, they're going to continue on. We were worried that might actually happen, and so it's a great opportunity for us to help some kids. And we've been with you for, I think we were your first charter, and you guys have been very, very supportive. You've asked all very good questions tonight. I know it's a tough job. I really want to thank you guys for serving. It's not an easy job, and you can tell everybody's got different opinions, and I respect that. So, but for us, we would definitely like to continue to help kids, and I think you guys have been supportive in that nature.
You know what's funny in that line? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, since I asked the first question, I'll just say, obviously, it's a population of kids that has very, very different needs. The way the law writes, anybody could help you serve them. I'm honored and pleased that we're helping you serve them. So I just think this is terrific.
Couple questions for housekeeping.
Real quick,
Ken. I'm sorry.
Just what I wanted to tell you is that thanks for coming up and the words you said to us when we had our break. I live in Aqua Dulce, and you'll have some of these parents here tonight that were here that just would have wanted for us to approve this or be on board for what was going on. And you see we're very friendly and we're partners and we're trying to make this happen. But thanks for saying that, because regardless of, like you said, everyone has their own opinions. And with everything you heard, I think all 5 of us had different concerns. None of us was like, oh yeah, let's go for this, right? But they're going to come to us, to me especially, since I live out there, and just say you messed up tonight. You not even understand that it was just a hearing, basically.
Yeah, it's hard. You guys have a tough job. I don't think people realize we've been doing this 15 years, and it's you guys have a unique problem that you deal with, is that you have to protect the districts as an entity. You're a business. You run a business, and you've got to protect that business, and that business serves the population. Oh, yeah. Sometimes those decisions aren't popular.
I was getting some hard looks.
Yeah, I know. I think, you know what though, what I did hear, and I think most of the people, and I would respect that even as one of your charters, is that you didn't say no. What you did is say fix it and come back. And I'll tell you, not a lot of other boards are like that. Especially if they're not pro-charter, right? They're just, if you had one thing wrong, you're done, and you don't get a chance to fix it. You don't get a chance to come back. So that was the most positive thing, and you do have to protect yourselves, because you guys.
Oh, I do protect myself. He's got a big heater on. This guy here.
So our goal, obviously, I think the whole church goal is to make your job.
Yeah. Right.
And then we can't forget Larry.
Okay, that video was very helpful, very helpful. Because we just run somebody through the ringer under the appearance that they're gonna bring a high school in here, and God forbid we do that, because we're gonna lose our enrollment to them. That will be the problem. So when I see something come forward that says we're gonna have 10 more schools added on out of nowhere to the 5 we knew about a few months ago.
I didn't hear that from anybody.
There needs to be, you will. I'll make a few phone calls. So at the end of the day, it kind of looks like, well, where have these schools been? Who's been sponsoring them? Why won't they sponsor them? But I see what this is it looks to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that there's a gatekeeper in this, and that's that the kids themselves have to qualify for this program to receive these funds, and then different service suppliers find those kids eligible, and then you get the funding for those kids, and then through their choices, they're able to go to the school they want to go to. Does that? So it's not like everybody in your school, there's one kid doing this, and the other 90 kids are regular kids, and you're just hiding behind some work order thing. I think the movie was very helpful to explain the difference between what these resource centers are really all about. They're more like a work training center, apprentice center, for lack of a better word.
Our goal is find them, educate them, and then get them job training.
But again, they would have to qualify for the federal funding that goes with this and be eligible.
Well, that is true, but remember, part of the workforce investment partners out there, they have to actually have a pipeline program. So part of their, if you read in the Federal Registry, they have to develop pipelines with LEAs. That's part of our goal. So there are kids that are coming into our program that feed right into their programs. That's the entire purpose of that. And then there's all different levels of funding that they deal with. They deal with Core A, Core B services. There's also one-stop centers that are part of this that we partner with. Again, they're not the only ones.
So they're coming to you as a subcontractor to service a portion of the needs of this student.
Correct. And then we've got 14 to 22-year-olds that we work with this in the program, because that's what the age range is.
So at the end of your material revision, it kind of suggests that this program is so fluid that rather than coming forward with material revision that would identify new sites, that you're asking that the superintendent can do that by signature.
No, we're going to follow your rules and come in for a material revision. I will say that's going to be a burden on you guys sometimes. We have, one of our programs is a trailer that we have, and we take out into the fields with the migrant farm workers, right?
Hey, I live in one, you're not offending me.
So you can imagine in the Shasta case ruling, they really didn't have an understanding, well, okay, we drive that trailer out to the fields out here in the Antelope Valley, and we start serving some migrant kids that are doing that, and the next week we're in another field. Is that a resource center? There's all kinds of...
Kind of like the old bookmobile.
Yes.
Where you would go with a portable library.
Listen, all the legislators love it. They think it's the greatest thing in the world. But again, we're different. We're different. Three of your schools are completely different, working with a very specific population. Not K-8, certainly not kids that come from affluent families. You saw the kids that we work with every day, and they're very, very, very needy and needs a lot of help. And without partners, honestly, the WIOA thing we've been doing for years before the whole Shasta case ruling, because we can't fix every path. We can't create every pathway. They have pathways in construction and things. If we had to try and use our funds to come up with a construction process, it would cost $1 million to figure it out. They've already got the partnerships there, and our kids are their kids. It's the same in one, and we get to do that with our students. So it's a great opportunity for. Remember when we had shop? And one day we had the auto shop.
That went away. Yeah.
AV High School, we had an auto shop there, and they went away. All the trades went away, and now you hear it coming right back in with vouchers, Larry, that they're trying to get kids back into.
Do you have a welding program?
We actually, through our partnerships, have a welding program. We have one in Riverside. It's phenomenal.
That's an exciting result.
Oh.
I'm looking for a welding program.
Are you done with your questions?
We're good. We're good. Thank you.
We've been getting one for 4 years.
Forgot last time. So do you have any questions or comments?
No, I would just say that your program is the exact reason why charters and vouchers and that type of thing should be the choice that parents have.
Hats off to you.
Thank you.
Did you have any questions?
No, thank you very much.
Mr. Zastosso.
So, with the addition of the new centers, I presume that that's growing your student population.
Yes, it will. By about 1,300 students.
By about 1,300? And how many will fall under our authorized?
1,300.
1,300. And as the program develops, you're gonna exclusively be serving that target population of?
We already are, yeah. It's really, you're just literally taking over centers that, because of the Shasta case, honestly, if you guys hadn't approved our WIOA, they'd have been shut down. So when you guys went ahead and made us like Sciatech and the rest, remember Sciatech and your other charter are able to go anywhere in the state because they're seat-based. We're non-classroom based in a different environment, so we're still limited, even with WIOA, to the county in which we're in and the neighboring county. So we have a little different scenario there, but Sciatech could put a school in Sacramento out here if they chose to, and have youth build charter schools is another one that you don't sponsor. They have schools, they're sponsored by one district, and they have schools all over the state. And the reason is that when the governor, at this time, I think it was Governor, who was the governor that was approved? I think it was before the guy that almost went to jail. I'm trying to think of his name. They sued him over
Gray?
Yes,
Gray
Davis. Gray Davis had a pet project with the California Conservation Corps, and there's a lot of schools, and we'll be serving some CCC kids as well. He didn't want those charter schools that were working with these very unique populations to be affected by boundary rules, and so they wrote this carve-out specifically for that. So, again, we're a little unique, like Sciatech and your other charter in that area, but you know, we really do appreciate you guys understanding the unique needs of this. I think when we were your first charter, our population wasn't any different. We still had those partnerships with WIOA. We just didn't need to call ourselves a WIOA charter because the rules didn't require that. Now they do, so we had to change it to basically tell the world this is what we do with our partners. And you saw, George, on the video, you saw real kids from our schools and what they do every day. And we'd invite you out anytime to come out and actually sit there. But it is a very unique program, and the state will, you know, continue to support these federal programs because the federal money isn't going to stop, right? The WIOAs are there, and if they don't have a partner for their, I mean, prior to charter schools, George had to use GED, right?
A lot of times we were using the GED programs.
And that's not the best environment, that's not the best opportunity for these kids. And they had to spend money to get that GED done. With the charter school partnership, it doesn't come out of the budget. It would be very difficult to do also as that.
So, because of the nature of your learning strategy, as you grow in WIOA, and SciTech, and we work with SciTech and Pathways, and grow them, correct, as at least a single authorizer. I know they have many. Correct. You don't see that as competition or cross purposes because they're serving the same population but in a different way.
Yeah, so we actually, in a few locations, partner with both Youth Build Charter School and SciTech because there are some programs that make more sense for seat-based. In fact, as an example, we a lot of the parole side of I'm trying to think of the arm of when your kid gets basically sentenced, and the parole side has to manage where these kids are at. They want the kids in a seat 5 days a week. I'm trying to think of the name of the group. Youth Authority. So they would rather see a kid where they can come check on them every day, 5 days a week. So there's quite a few centers where there's 100 kids in a seat-based program, but there's a lot of kids that can't do the seat-based program where we can, and they can come 2 or 3 days a week because they have a baby or they have a full-time job or things like that. So we actually sit in many locations where we partner with SciTech or John Muir in order to accomplish both a seat-based program and a non-classroom based because we can't do that one and they can't do ours. So it's a neat opportunity for us to partner. We're all friends, and in fact, there are so many kids, guys. We could open up 500 new locations, each of us, and it wouldn't even put a dent in the number of kids that are dropping out of school right now. It's really that serious, and I say that without any hesitation in the data that if we build it, they come, and that's truly how it's been. There is literally that many kids dropping out of school. So it's a sad commentary, but the reality is it's what's happening. And it's not the school district's fault. It's life, you know, parents and gangs and bullying and everything else that goes into our world right now. So we want to catch those because your Einsteins are filling a need at the top, sending kids to college. But for every 100 kids they send to college, there's 5,000 dropping out and going into the prison. And if you want to know where your budget's going with the governor, it's, you know, more than 50% of that budget's going to incarceration. And I don't know if you saw the new figures this year. It went from like 52,000 to 70,000 a year to incarcerate an individual. And if you saw that young man on that video, he was headed towards that. It was 70 grand a year that young man was headed towards until he found George's program and partnered with us through a high school diploma. And we're saving the state on just that kid alone, you know, probably $400,000 to $500,000 between incarceration and then if he gets out, he's going to be on social services, which we pay the bill for the rest of his life. So the dollars are in the billions that programs like ours can save to the taxpayers. Honestly, the state shouldn't even have us a charter school. Honestly, they should say, you're a program, you need to be around, they should fund us separately, we shouldn't be going through a lot of this stuff, but we're working on it. So.
And the new centers that you're targeting as the growth, that's going to come online.
It'll be immediate. The kids are
immediate.
Already, yeah, you'll see an immediate return in terms of the kids doing work and immediately being able to see that. So I mean, when I say immediate, it'll be August, I think, is when we would enroll them into this program. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for sticking around.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to close the hearing at 10:22. Okay, is that right? 10:42, thank you. Oh boy, I knew we had to be going more than 6 minutes. All right, item 10.4 is Williams lawsuit settlement fourth quarter report on uniform complaints. It's recommended the board enter into discussion as it relates to the Williams lawsuit settlement.
We have no.
Oh, well, let's move it. I know.
So,
Great answer.
Mr. President?
Okay, Ed Porter, I'll second it.
We have no complaints to report in the area of instructional materials, facilities, or teacher misassignments.
Good job, folks. Okay. 11.1, approval of tentative agreement with the Acton Aqua Dulce Teachers Association, AATA, contract for the 2016-2017 school year. Motion? Move. Moved by Mr. DeStasso, seconded by Mr. Porter.
We've worked to negotiate these articles with our certificated staff who have equally already ratified these changes, and it comes now to you for approval. Some of just the highlights of what we worked on with our teaching staff. Language changes to reflect our practices that are already in place. We look to increase the amount of the dollar amount that we put towards benefit plans for this school year, 16-17, to be $18,000. I'm sorry, $1,800. Hey.
Thought you had something there for a minute.
They've already paid for their plans for this school year, so the idea is to reimburse them in a one-time payment for the $1,800 for this school year, and then moving forward in the 17-18 year to increase our already contribution of $2,000 by another $2,000, which would double it to $4,000 starting next year. And then equally, we look to increase the coaching stipend as well.
I have no comment other than say, I wish we could do as much as we can for our staff. The numbers are what they are. Thank you very much for your dedication to your profession and to the kids of the community. Anybody else got anything else before we take a vote? Call question?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's a 11.2, approval of tentative agreement with California School Employees Association, CSBA, contract for the 2016-17 school year.
So moved.
And Porter. Second. Larry Lake.
And we equally work with our CSCA partners to negotiate these articles that now have been ratified and now come to you for approval. Again, language changes to reflect practices that are already in place, as well as some legal updates. We kind of found some mistakes that needed to be changed over time. And then we're looking at a 2% salary increase and the reclassification of 2 jobs. We have an instructional aide and a library aide that are paid at range 1, and we're looking to reclassify them to be range 6, which would then kind of put them more into play on what we're going to need to do for minimum wage, so bump up those lower ranges.
Imagine, we have to pay minimum wage.
Yeah.
Any comments? No. Other than the same thank you.
Both of the ladies, if I can point out, were at the negotiating tables this year, and they're wonderful partners. They're a great team.
5-0-0. Okay, classified salary schedule, 2016, 2017. Ed Porter, I'll second it.
So you're gonna see kind of the nitty-gritty now that gets tied to this. This is the classified salary schedule with the reflection of a 2% increase, as well as if you look at the top 5 ranges, they've been crossed out. We no longer have job descriptions that fall in those ranges. So the range 6 will be our lowest paid range for those 2 job descriptions that I just talked to you about.
Call the question? Aye. 5-0-0. 11.4, classified salary schedule X for 2016 and 17. I'll move it.
I'll second.
Another classified job is the range 2, the occupational therapist, also falls into the contract and would be receiving a 2% salary increase, so this reflects that.
Call question?
Aye. Mr. President, we allow the record to reflect that I'm leaving at 10:50. I'm going to see my relatives.
Good.
I told him I'd be there by 11:30 now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Wish his family well on behalf of us. Ed leaves 10:50 p.m. All right, 11.5, job description library aide. It's recommended the board approve the job description for a library aide. I'll move it. Second.
And this is a reflection, if you look on the very back, it changes the range from 1 to 6. Nothing else on the job description has changed.
It's to go with the different place on the table.
Yep.
Okay.
New salary range.
Call the question? Aye. That's a 4-0-0. Okay, 11.6, job description instructional assistant. I'll move it again. Second.
New salary range for this job from 1 to 6.
Call the question? Aye. You were an aye?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a 4-0-0. 11.7, public disclosure, confidential employees, classified management, certificated management, unrepresented. It's recommended the board approve the cost disclosure on confidential employees, 2% salary, classified management, 2% salary, certificated management, $2,000 health and welfare benefits, unrepresented, $2,000 health and welfare benefits for the 2016-17 school year and out years. Somebody want to move it? Move. Second.
So this outlines the salary increase and the health and welfare benefits increase for everybody outside of the bargaining units that we just discussed.
Call the question?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0-0. 11.8, confidential employee salary schedule, 2016-17. It's recommended the board approve the confidential employee salary schedule for the 2016-17 school year. Somebody want to move it? Move. Second.
And this shows a 2% salary increase for our confidential classified employees.
Call the question? Aye. 4-0-0. 11.9, classified management salary schedule 2016-17. It's recommended the board approve the classified employee salary schedule for 2016-17 school year. Move. I'll second.
And this shows the classified managers receiving a 2% salary increase.
Call the question?
Aye.
4-0-0 vote. Okay. 11.10, administrative contract, Assistant Superintendent Kim Lytle. Is recommended the board approve the administrative contract for Superintendent Kim Lytle. Now, where in the package is this? Only because I talked to Jay today, we're supposed to read the salary out loud. That's what I'm going to say, Bob.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it's not in the text, I'll do that, if I can find it.
It's thereabouts.
In the back.
Look at the very top right corner, you'll get
11.10, thank you.
I think the idea is that the public can see any kind of a salary for a cabinet seat.
Yes,
seat person.
there you go. No. It's all there.
Yeah, by having
I want to
it
make sure
attached, you can see it.
we follow the law.
This was posted to the internet, correct, on
Correct.
Monday?
It is,
Yes.
but I think Jay told me, and if I'm mistaken, we won't go through that next year, but then I'm supposed to read it out loud. Okay? So that's okay.
And I just wanted to point out that these contracts, because we're cabinet seated officials and we give direction to the board, last January there was a new law, and that's probably what Jay is stating, is that these now have to be publicly reported and or posted as we did to show any kind of compensation outside of just the salary schedule, the normal salary schedule that we would get. So what I also want to talk about are the bonuses or the hiring incentives or the recruitment or the retention benefits. So EdCode does allow administrators to get a bonus, and you'll see those reflected in what you're going to look at and possibly read out. These, for some of us, were recruiting mechanisms in order to hire us into the district to kind of make us even with other districts around us or where we were coming from and the salary that we were making. And in some cases, especially now, they're really looked at as a retention bonus in order to allow us to stay into the contract. You can do this annually, but I want to point out it's not for work that we did in the past. So it's not kind of like an attaboy, you did great, we're going to give you more money, or you did crummy, we're going to take money away from you. It's truly for the work that we're doing going into the next year. So you're basically paying us to remain employed with you. It's not evaluative, it's not seniority based, and I just want to make sure that that was kind of clear when we go through this.
This was the legal reference I was making. So as part of the discussion, I just want to point out that the retention bonuses have been historically part of these packages from the day these folks were hired. Their salaries haven't increased any more than anyone else's. And I'd also point out that we've looked at the statistics. That's why we pulled them last week, to make sure that the statistics were within norms, notwithstanding the fact that we're not changing anything. And unfortunately, just like our teachers, our staff is also underpaid relative to the people around us. So the statistics bear that out, and that's why. But we want to make sure we did our homework, and that's why I'm comfortable voting for this, because it's not a change, and we are not overpaying by any stretch our folks. I wish we could overpay everybody. That's my comments on this as we move in.
Without getting into too deep into the weeds out here and saying things I'm not supposed to be saying, I've asked for, since I've been on the board, that we're a small district. We don't have a director of this and a director of that and a director of everything. And I've asked that it be displayed that the site directors, who are historically principals, have alternative supports that they provide the district, whether it would be curriculum development and screening, IT, LCAP, and those types of things. And I think we've seen some evidence of that additional roles they play. I don't look at this as signing bonuses myself. I don't look at it as retention bonus, but I look at it as an overall package that's worth somebody moving beyond just being a principal and offering administrative support in a district where we are very cost conscious on the top end. And right or wrong, that's how I feel about that. Thank you.
I agree with you. I don't know if it was, what I heard him say was our administrators do more than just run their schools. They also tie this all the technology. So everybody's got two jobs, kind of, or 1.x jobs. And that's also part of generally being lean. So at any rate, any more discussion before we vote?
Well, I would just briefly say that I'm very much in favor of the new law, that we have to make these announcements, because I have been on the board 12 years, and I don't believe I've ever been advised that there was a bonus system in computing the salary for these people. And I think it's something that the board should have known and been advised. And I think I'll just leave it at that, though.
Okay. So let's see. Who moved that in? There wasn't a little blank space. I'm writing the blank space.
I did.
What's that? Mark? Okay. And then who seconded that one? It's okay. It's a long agenda. Who seconded? I'll second it. The MF. Okay, now I'm going to write the A's, nays, and other lines as we call the question.
Yeah, one other thing, and I didn't mean that comment to be any way negative against each person getting their bonus. It's just that
It was.
I would have called it a total salary, and I definitely would not have called it, when they've been working here a number of years, a hiring bonus. The word retention bonus does make sense, but I definitely believe everybody deserves what they get and more.
Call the question?
Aye.
That's a 401. All the others that I said were 400 were really obviously 401s, starting at 11.5. Okay, now they should get more routine, I think. 11.1, administrative contract, chief financial officer, Steve Berdraja. Somebody want to move it? Mark Pistasso. Seconded, all seconded. Discussion?
This shows the latest 2% salary increase on his, so that's the change for next year.
Call the question. Aye. 401. 11.12, administrative contract director, high school principal, Lytle vote.
Move.
Larry Layton, second.
Second.
Mark Pistasso.
$2,000 towards benefits increase as a certificated employee.
Did we do something else there? You were talking about changes.
Salary didn't change for certificated employees.
There was a bonus change.
Oh, the bonus changed from, I don't remember, 5 to 10.
And so we felt that that was appropriate because when we did our salary comparison, there was a much larger gap there. Call the question? Aye. 401. One absent. Oh, got it. Administrative contract director, middle school principal, Lynn David. Move. Second.
$2,000 towards benefits.
Call the question. Aye. 401. 11.14, administrative contract director, principal, elementary school, Santa Farm. Move. Second.
$2,000 towards benefits.
Aye.
There's also a retention bonus there as well.
Yes, there is.
It
Not a new
didn't
one.
change.
It didn't change.
Yeah, but it didn't change.
Read it out.
Oh, I'm sorry. And $5,500 retention bonus.
Okay, and it was the same for Ms. David, that there was a retention bonus there as well, and it did, in addition to the.
Right, I was only saying what had changed this
I
year.
know, but I
That's
thought
fine.
earlier you said that the law
$8,000.
says we have to mention the bonuses.
Well,
Well, I just don't want to make it sound like some people were getting retention and some weren't. Even though they didn't change, they were still getting what was there previously. I don't want the record to misrepresent.
Thank you. All right, 11.15, administrative contract director, principal, elementary school, Amanda Fisher. Move. Second.
$13,000 retention bonus and $2,000 towards benefits.
Okay, call the question.
Aye.
Administrative contract interim superintendent. Now there's something new here. Okay, 11.16, administrative contract interim superintendent. It's recommended the board approve administrative contract for interim superintendent. Somebody want to move it?
Move.
Second.
Okay. I know that I've been more intimately involved with this as the president of the board than you have, Ms. Lytle. Would you mind if I led this discussion? Okay. All right. So the board considered two potential interim superintendents, and we've selected one. And this contract is to bring that interim superintendent on board as the superintendent search plays out, effective July 1st, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, the period of the agreement is July 5th, although we're entering into it by July 1st. And there's some modifications. I'm going to make a motion. I think I have to make a motion to amend this before we vote.
I would make them.
If there's some amendments to what was posted.
Yeah, make a motion to amend.
Okay, I'll make a motion to amend.
And I'll second the motion.
So Mark Pistasso.
And now you'll read the.
Yes, the change. And Larry Lake was the second. Okay, the amended changes are, under compensation, we added paragraph D, and we'll have to work with you so that you can fix it, we can sign it, so we can get it over there, because time is of the essence. Paragraph D, contractor shall only bill for time spent performing activities associated with the performance of this agreement, exclusive of time spent traveling to and from the district. I'll give you the exact word, you don't have to stay up. And then we added under compensation the subparagraph E. The contract shall be capped at $60,000. And then we struck paragraph 12, entire agreement, that whole paragraph is struck. Is there any discussion before we, that anybody feels needs to be before we vote? Call to question. Aye?
Aye.
Was that an aye down there, Ken?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a 4-0-1. The individual's name is Mr. Mark Sparna. He's got an extensive experience with school construction. He's a former DSA inspector, and he has extensive experience with budgeting. And as we start implementing the budget we've adopted, we thought that it would be very helpful and keeping at the Acton School moving forward. That's an area where we think we could use that help. I mean, we've got great people here. We tried to look for where we were a little weaker, and that's where we chose for. Okay. I want to make sure that I say as part of this discussion, we thank Ms. Lytle for stepping up to this since February 1st.
Well, I swore in Mr. Falscraft in December, but.
Oh, good heavens. Yeah, it's been a long time. So we appreciate that fact that you stepped us up. This isn't any reflection.
I appreciate that. I know it's been
And
an honor.
the superintendent search is wide open.
Yeah, it's been an honor. Thank you.
Okay. Item 12.1. We're in the business and financial section, 12 generally. ELA adoption committee report and recommendation.
Move.
Second.
Ms. Cassandra Farley, you are up. And I know you had part of your team with you and off they went. You don't blame them.
All right, yes. So, very excited to be able to stand in front of you this evening, to be able to present, but it took a team of people. The first thing I wanted to do was recognize that team. Mr. Sell is one of the ones that was part of our team for the ELA Adoption Committee. I want to recognize her. I did little certificates for them all. I invited everybody, but of course, being the day after school got out, many people had plans. Mrs. Newton was here, one of our third grade teachers, but it got a little late, so she headed home. So first, I just wanted to recognize everybody that was part of our committee, which is, nope, that's what's in front of you. No, you're right here.
Oh. Please hold. I don't know.
Back, the arrow back. There you go. So we had a good representation across all of the schools. We started off way back in October. I sent out an email reaching out to all the teachers to see who would be interested in joining our adoption committees. We had Candace Palacios and Sandra Hamilton, who both teach first grade at Meadowlark. Michelle Fernandez, who is a 2-3 combination teacher for Meadowlark. Molly Newton, 3rd grade. Melissa Trussell, 4th grade. Michelle Alba, 4-5 combo at Meadowlark. Nicole Chun, 5th grade teacher at Meadowlark. From the middle school, we had Katie Mitchell, 7th grade teacher, and Heidi Miller, 8th grade teacher. And then representation from Vasquez, we had Rachel Anderson, who teaches 10th and 11th grade, and Heather Lundquist, who teaches 9th and 11th. So we had a great team that we put together to help make this decision. So it really was a group effort by everyone in a year-long process. Kind of just a timeline of how we came to the publishers that we did review. Even last year in the 2015-2016 school year, I had attended many trainings through LACO and at the beginning of this school year to learn about the new ELA publishers that were out, all the different options that there were for us to select. There's many different program types, and we needed to look at what would be best for our district. Program 2 is what we ended up going with, which is